interest ends. Welcome back to Critical Nerd Theory. That's right. This is getting into it. Welcome back to the show, buds. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is Critical Nerd Theory. This is our second episode. Brand new channel, Nerdgenics. Make sure you click subscribe. We got a great show for you guys tonight. Two of my guests here. I got Tommy B. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
It's my buddy for a long time. My other buddy, Josh. What's going on?
Hello. Hello again.
How you guys doing tonight?
We are back.
I'm
I'm
here.
excited. All right, we got a lot to cover. This is a pretty crazy week. So let me just kind of run you guys through what we're going to talk about tonight. The main topic, Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6. Josh, have you watched?
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Tommy?
Yeah, man.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm all caught up. I'm ready to roll.
Okay, all right, good.
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead. Thank you. Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6. We're going to talk about all the crazy shit that happened there.
Yeah, we know how it goes when you don't tell people there's going to be spoilers.
Kenobi series premiere leak.
I saw that.
Yeah, this just happened like within the last couple hours. I was just checking a second ago. Everyone's talking about it now. So it essentially caught on. Typically, if something's like, not really reliable source, some people may kind of toss it around, but it's just kind of considered like low quality, like news. But the fact that all these bigger outlets are starting to pick it up and write articles about it and stuff kind of tells me that it's probably pretty believable. So we're going to talk to you guys about what the news there is. The other main topic we're going to talk about is the new Halo series, which just had the new trailer that dropped, whatever it was, earlier this week. Visually, that thing was stunning, and I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen with this series, because it's either going to be complete shit, or it's going to be fucking awesome, or it's going to be both of those things at the same time. There's going to be moments where it's awesome, and probably the majority of it's going to be shit, which I think is pretty much a good way to describe most of what's coming out of Hollywood now.
Kind of like what's Book of Boba Fett. It's complete shit with some really good stuff happening right now.
It's the strangest thing to see like a show go from like incredible to like then like literally the next scene. You're just like, what the fuck was I just watching?
As someone who, I wouldn't call myself a Star Wars enthusiast or Star Wars nerd per se. I like Star Wars as much as anybody else, but I haven't read any of the books. I haven't really dove too deep into it, and I'm a little bummed.
You're bummed
with the way the show's been going, because when I think of Boba Fett, I think of Boba Fett from the original.
Yes,
the original trilogy, and it's like, what am I watching? I want him, throwing down, chasing people down, shooting it up, like kind of like what we saw in Mandalorian when he entered into the Mandalorian, where he's just tearing it up, And I feel like we haven't seen that. It's been very kind of mellow almost. I feel like there's been some shootouts and some fights and stuff, but it hasn't done it. It hasn't done it for me. Personally, I think the best episode they've had so far was the one with Mando, the two with Mando.
Yeah,
and
Boba's
not even in it. it's
like if you needed a better like microcosm example of like the show in a nutshell, it's that right there. It's just like I'm with you. Like the first 3-4 episodes were so slow, and I almost quit watching. I think the 4th episode, I didn't even watch it until the night before the 5th episode. Like I was that close to just being like, I'm just not even interested anymore. Well, I'm glad. I'm really glad we have you on. Specifically because you're not like this super deep Star Wars fan. I think that actually brings a really unique perspective. Because it's good to like, have someone on who like, can kind of talk about it from the other side of the coin, where it's like, you like Star Wars like as much as the next guy. It's not like you hate it. You know what I mean? So
I know Josh and you are really into it. I know Josh, for example, has read most of the books. I don't know how many you read, Spence. I know you've read a decent amount.
Several.
But
There's
again,
hundreds.
I haven't touched any of them.
Yeah.
All I'm getting is from the movies and shows, and as someone who's just like, I just pop in.
Exactly.
It's not doing what it needs to do to hook me as someone who's not that ingrained into it. Like I feel like that's majority of people. You're not gonna.
Yes, exactly.
You're not gonna find that many people that have read every single book and are solely watching this because it's another piece.
Yeah. That's a really good point too, because it's like if a good movie is a good movie, and what good movies do is like what makes them good is that like they're easily liked by a lot of people, right? And typically there's like two ways to make a movie like that, and this is what makes a movie that's made for everybody, quote unquote, either bad or good. Is it's like you either have like a good story that can like speak to many different kinds of people from different ages and demographics and locations and areas, etc., right? Because you have like a good fundamental deep story that everyone can relate to, stories of love and courage and yada yada yada, you know what I mean? Or you make it so bland and boring and don't add any of those fundamental elements to the storytelling, and it just becomes like this fucking blob gray mess that just is vanilla as fuck and no one cares about it.
And I think like if you look at the episode 1 of The Mandalorian, there was a reason that episode hooked you, like right from the start.
Yeah.
That scene in the bar, and you're like, oh man, okay, yeah, this is
that opening scene is so good.
And then he strolls in, and you're like, oh, whoa, okay, now you're getting that Western vibe. And then they just throw down, and he does that little like gunslinger movement, shoots the door, and you're like, yes, this is a show that I am going to continue to watch. And
yeah, exactly.
It's just there hasn't been that moment for Boba yet.
Well, speaking of Western vibes, that last episode 6 that just aired, that had 100% Western in it.
It did.
Yes.
But you're going back to the whole thing with Mando, though. It's got nothing to do with Boba yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So like Star Wars has always kind of had like this sort of spacey, like Western kind of feel to it. You know what I mean? Everything with Tatooine and Han Solo.
Especially Tatooine.
Exactly. So that's why I like that we're back on Tatooine, and we get, in my opinion, the best like Western sort of Star Wars scene.
Sci-fi Western.
It's exactly. And it's like so perfect, man. Like we'll get into it. The other thing we're going to talk about is Lord of the Rings. We got some new promo images. Glad we got Tommy B on. He's going to run us through those and react to those and talk about some of the things. Yeah, I mean, look, man, like you know what you're talking about when it comes to this stuff. We'll get into it. You know what we'll do is we'll kind of do like sort of intro-y type stuff. We'll kind of just talk about some of, you know what I mean? Because like again, we're not experts by any means, but it's like we're just nerds and consumers, and we are able to recognize a good story and whatnot. Some of us are more interested in some things than others. Like I would call myself like mainly a Star Wars guy. Obviously, Tommy B is mainly a Lord of the Rings guy, etc. Sure. Josh, you're kind of a jack of all trades. Is there like one property you would say is kind of like your main?
Star Wars is my main go-to. Okay, cool. But yeah, I've always just been a fan of kind of losing myself in another universe, like another world.
Escapism.
So like when it comes to video games, I love the Witcher game because like just the in-depth, you get into the world, you get into the story, the Star Wars games, the Witcher games, Lord of the Rings. Skyrim is a big one. I love Skyrim and Elder Scrolls and just all that. I just like to, escape reality for a little while and go into this fantasy world.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think escapism in general is like becoming more like mainstream. You know what I mean? I don't even think that's like a controversial thing to say at all. Like
every streaming service is doubling down on something now.
Yeah,
fantasy, sci-fi. So Paramount Plus is doing Halo. Netflix is going balls to the wall with Witcher. Disney Plus is doing Marvel and Star Wars.
Yep.
Like
Amazon's got Lord of the Rings.
Yep, Amazon's doing Lord of the Rings. Well, Amazon's got a lot of sci-fi stuff going on.
They do.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings is definitely their biggest title.
Amazon's been playing it smart because I think the writing was on the wall for a lot of these streaming services and the older, what's my favorite phrase? Not mainstream media, legacy media. You guys heard that term?
Yep.
So the old network media, like they are kind of realizing that they're just like super late to the game, right? It's like
They're
where
way behind.
when it was ABC and NBC and there was like 4 fucking networks that controlled everything. Now you have not only individual creators, which is endless, you know, guys like us, but also you have like your Netflix and your Amazon, etc. Don't get me wrong, those are massive companies too. But my point is that like they started creating their own content. And I think it's funny that now you see these massive networks kind of like trying to get into the playing field at all, and they're just like failing miserably. You know what I mean? That's why it's a big deal. Like this Amazon series is a big deal. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like it's Amazon's kind of first real big go with like a big property. You know?
Yeah.
Same thing with Paramount, which is Viacom. Excuse me. Them with Halo. That's definitely they're definitely going for, you know, their space thing with Halo. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Netflix fantasy wise obviously is going balls to the wall on The Witcher, which man is it bad.
I mean, I like it.
Do you?
Yeah, but that, you know, I think that's
season 2.
I liked season 2, but I think here's the big difference that we need to talk about, and that is, for me, again, I've never read the Witcher books. I've talked to you guys about. I know both of you have read them, and you guys are pushing
I haven't
me
read the books.
Oh, I thought you did. It was just Josh.
Just me.
You know,
you played the game though. Right?
I played the game.
Okay. Did you play just 3? Or
I have all 3. I have only played
really?
3 currently. I've been meaning to go back and play the first 2.
I've only played 2 once. I bought the backwards compatible for whatever. That was cool.
3 is like one of my favorite games of all
3
time.
is like one of the best video games ever made. I think that's
fantastic.
Kind of hands down.
I, as someone who's never dove into it really that deep, you know, I got into the games because I liked the idea of just roaming the woods, exploring, coming across crazy monsters, picking up contracts, having to track things down, figure out what they are, and then figure out how to kill them. No, I thought that was a sweet concept for a game. And what I liked about the show is, you know, you get that piece of Geralt where he's just doing his thing. You know, you have the overarching main story, but at the same time, he's like, you know, he's a Witcher at the end of the day, and he's going to go hunt
contracts.
Yep. And so I liked that. I know I've talked to you before about some of the things you didn't like about it, and for me, you know, it was that in almost every episode there was some sort of monster or witch or something.
Oh, interesting.
You know, I thought that was cool. You know, I liked seeing that aspect of it. You know, I'm interested to see where it goes from there. Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised. And I'm glad you said that, because something I thought about today. So, you guys know Geeks and Gamers?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, the main dude, he tweeted today, something more or less about. We got a comment, guys. It's spam. Salted. We got our first comment. You're officially our first comment on a live stream.
Oh, baby.
And it's spam.
Send us in a spam. Send us your Venmo. I'm glad we have you on then, because I think I haven't read the books. I know the general concept of the books.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the books. But I didn't like the second. I mean, we can talk about this more in detail, obviously, but I didn't like the second season because I thought it was like in direct contradiction with a lot of what they set up in season 1. And as someone who is coming to The Witcher on Netflix from the game Witcher 3, I thought that like they basically like destroyed Yennefer's character.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, interesting.
So
I know, Josh, you absolutely despise it.
From the book perspective, somebody who read the books, loves the books. I want to read the books again, and I like just finished them like 3 months ago. They've destroyed Yennefer's character. They destroyed Eskel's character quite literally in the TV show.
Yeah.
Vesemir's character is a little skewed. Frangilla's character isn't right.
Francesca's pregnant.
Francesca's
Triss.
pregnant. That never happens.
Should we talk about Trish real quick?
Triss Marigold. That is
That
a little.
Dude, I love how they just stuck a red wing on her this season.
Yeah.
Like, is that better?
I guess
No.
that's one thing that really bugged me. The one thing
At least
that
they're
really
trying.
bugged me about the show is that, you have a writer that builds this world, builds these characters, and then you're doing an adaptation of it. And I feel like to take their characters and change them it's kind of wrong. It's kind of messed up.
And
Trish is, and I don't think the actress did a poor job. I think the actress
I agree.
did a phenomenal job. I think she's good. I think she plays a very good Trish. But the character is not her.
I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I mean?
It's
just
they've changed every character.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Except for
I'm
Geralt.
not
There's only
understanding.
one reason for that.
Right, because Henry Cavill won't let them.
Yeah,
Yes,
because he's
and
such a big
he's fighting
fan
them
and
tooth and
literally
nail.
knows everything. Like I was reading an article that was saying how they wanted him to say something or do something, and he was like, "No, he that character Geralt wouldn't do that."
So how he uses a little bit of signs in combat in season 1.
He didn't want to do it originally.
That was him. Apparently, there was like only one instance of him using magic in season 1, and it was when he was fighting the Striga, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He
So
blocks
when he uses Ard during the Butcher Blaviken scene, that was Geralt. At the end of that scene, he tries to use Axii on Renfrey.
Yep.
That's all him. And there's a couple other instances too. He hasn't used Igni yet in the show. Well, actually, technically, he does in season 2.
Yeah.
He does a weird
he does on his sword.
variation. Yeah, variation of Igni on his sword.
So to bring us back to the Boba Fett, though, it feels like the writers and the producers of these TV shows, so Witcher, Book of Boba Fett, all that kind of stuff, the actors and actresses are actually researching their characters, but they're the only ones doing it. Like Henry is fighting Netflix tooth and nail to make sure that he's the best Geralt he can be.
Yep.
Book of Boba, there was an article I think that came out last week saying that the actor playing Boba was fighting with the writers because they were giving him too many lines, just like in The Witcher.
Boba doesn't talk.
And he was like, Boba Fett would not say this. This is too much for his character. We need to change it.
Yeah.
So
we mentioned this on last week's episode. Yeah, Tamara Morrison wanted to give or told John and Dave that he thought that the character was speaking too much, and he actually was able to successfully get some of his lines were said by Fennec, and that was all Tamara. Yep. So yeah, it's very strange. You bring up a good point that it's like some of these actors, at least, you know what I mean, because like some of the Marvel actors, for example, like I'm not a fan of Brie Larson. I loved her in 21 Jump Street.
Yes,
but she's just, I don't know. You've seen her YouTube channel?
No,
don't.
And I have zero intention to.
Yeah, it's it's so cringe, man. But anyway, she's just been known to be awful on set and it's hard to work with and yada yada yada, and she wants to change the script and dialogue and shit on set, you know what I mean, and is isn't going about it the right way versus Tamara Morrison, who seems to kind of be more he's trying to work with them, etc. But apparently, it's just, I've kind of forgot where I was going with that, but my point is that some of these actors are really researching their characters, like you said, and some of them just clearly aren't. They're trying to put their own spin on it, you know what I mean? So it's cool seeing Tamara Morrison, who originally came into the series as Jango Fett. It's cool seeing him kind of stick up for this character that he originally didn't even play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, that guy, I can't remember his name. I'm not that good of a Star Wars fan to where I can just pull I know Frank Oz played Yoda. I know that one, but I don't remember the guy who played Boba Fett. But it's he had 7 words. He said 7 words throughout the entire original trilogy, right? And he was just this sort of, he was definitely in the forefront. You know what I mean? They make right away, this guy's working for Vader. People are scared of him. Vader has to fucking reel him in. He tells Boba no disintegration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Boba's just like, why would I do that? Like, he's my bounty. So it's just funny seeing, like you said, Josh, how like it's weirdly hit or miss these days, where it's like some of this stuff, like for example, like Henry Cavill as Geralt is a perfect example. He's like the one guy on the show. I mean, I'm kind of making a lot of assumptions here, I guess I should say, you know what I mean? Because, who knows what Freya Allen, who plays Ciri, who knows, if they're like, they seem, when I watch them in interviews, they seem like they're doing their research. But especially Yennefer, played by Anya Shalatra,
Yep.
who is drop dead gorgeous. Visually, I think she's great. I absolutely loved her in season 1. I remember coming out of season 1 thinking like, okay, holy shit, Henry Cavill is amazing as Geralt. Like, it doesn't even, the fact that it's Henry Cavill doesn't even like cross my mind when I'm watching the show. Like, he does such a good job of portraying him, the line delivery. I think the only criticism I would give him, and this is hilarious, is that he's too buff. Because Geralt's kind of wiry and thin and quick and agile. Exactly. Plus, he's like a traveling witcher, so it's not like he's eating as many calories as is necessary to get as big as Henry Cavill is. But like the dedication to the character, you hear him talk about his diet and stuff like that. Like 3 days, like he has to like dehydrate himself for 3 days before shooting like a shirtless scene type deal because they want his muscles to really pop out and shit like that. And
it seems like way too much for me.
It does seem like way too much. Oh yeah, no, I mean like, yeah, it's way too much for me. Even the basics is way too much for me. But it's like Henry Cavill is doing a great job as Geralt, and it just seems like some of these actors are really sticking up for the original characters and the original writing and the original directors and original creators of all these properties.
Yeah.
Because it's like these properties, you wouldn't be rebooting these properties if they weren't as big as they are. So why reboot them and then fucking change them?
Yeah.
Like, I get that you have to adapt it. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like the Lord of the Rings movies, which were fantastic, were an adaptation. And that's an example of a fucking fantastic adaptation.
And they crushed it.
They didn't try to fuck with it.
No, there's so many things that aren't the same as in the books.
Yeah.
But they only changed it because it's like, if we put this in, it would make no sense. Like, we have to change. Like, say, take Treebeard. Some of his lines came directly from Tom Bombadil. A lot of the things Treebeard says are actually lines that Tom
I did not
has,
know that.
but they cut him out because Tom makes no flipping sense. Like, he's just this goofy dude in the woods who has complete control over everything, can put the ring on, not go invisible, can see people while they have the ring on. It's just like he can make the ring disappear for one. Like, he's just such a weird, goofy character. It's like, how would we possibly work this guy into the movie without people being like, the fuck?
Because they're making good decisions that are like, they're thinking about the end product at the end of the day. They're not thinking about what's coming before it. They're not thinking about like, here's the list of shit that I need to inject into my script. You know what I mean? I need to have like a moment of a strong female character showing such and such, and blah, blah. It's like,
it's a good thing Tolkien already did that.
Well, it's like that's my point. Is like these stories, especially these big properties, these stories already have those kinds of messages organically built into them. So when you're watching something and it's like right in your face, it breaks the suspension of disbelief, which is just like, go to like any freshman in film school knows what that's all about, and it's like you have to maintain that. You know what I mean? So
you bring that up, and I think it's an interesting point. I think you nailed it. And I think one thing about Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings, and and Jackson's films, I think in Return of the King, you have Eowyn versus the Witch King at the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and he has that moment where he's like, no man can kill me. And she pulls off her helmet and's like, I am no man, and stabs him in the face. But that happens. That literally happens.
But they go like, oh, we need more strong female characters.
But that is exactly how it was written. That is how it was written by Tolkien.
Like when she stands up to Aragorn and she's just like, I'm not afraid of dying, whatever. Well, I fear neither death nor pain, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you fear? She's like, a cage. It's like, that's what I want my future daughter getting out of that scene is like
But
that's
but
what
that
I
wasn't
mean?
even- it
and
wasn't
like
even
God
changed.
forbid she's also like elegant and like well spoken and smart and educated and like
Yep.
fearless.
And
You know, like
I
she
think
can-
the interesting thing that Tolkien does with that scene in the original writing of it is Aragorn gets there way before the king. Like him and his guys, him and the Dunedain get there like a day before. There's no
really?
gap. There's no gap. The whole thing at Edoras, that never happens. They go straight from Helm's Deep to Isengard to the encampment.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
So he gets there, and she's in her dress, and it's very descriptive of Eowyn in the dress. But then you fast forward to the next day, and Aragorn and all his men are getting ready to leave to go down through the path of the dead, and she comes out in full armor and is like, "Hey, take me with you," and that's when the line happens.
Oh,
yeah. And no one else will look. Like no one else in the entire camp is looking. They're like, "Nope, we're not getting involved in this," because now he's like, "No, you have to stay." And and he throws all that, you have to stay because you have to protect your people, and blah 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 blah. And she's like,
wow.
"No, you." Goes
well, see, but you made a good point that like this, like that's an example of like Peter Jackson doing a good job of translating it from page to screen.
He crushed it.
Because like even when he needs to change something, you notice how he basically is just like, this isn't going to work visually here, but I can get this same moment if somewhere I do else. You know what I mean? Because he's leaving it generally intact, right?
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, I know. Let's make Yennefer lose her powers, and then she's going to kill Ciri to get her powers back, and she's actually going to try that. It's just like you're completely destroying the fundamental aspect of the character. I want to go back on Boba Fett, though, if that's all right with you guys.
We gotta return back to Boba here.
Yeah, it's all good. All right, so let's talk about all the crazy shit. Now, keep in mind, we're going to do a more in-depth review. It'll literally be episode 6 review video, which I'm currently editing right now. But let's just kind of talk about the basics of it, because I think there were some really big things as far as like what to take away from the episode. We can get into the details of it, at another time. But let's just run through all the big shit, right? So we see Mando again. Ahsoka's here. Luke is here training Grogu. R2 makes an appearance. It essentially all comes down to Luke giving Grogu the choice. Do you choose the way of the Mandalorian, showing that he has attachment, forsaking the way of the Jedi, or do you choose Yoda's fucking lightsaber, signifying he's choosing the path of the Jedi, forsaking or foregoing all attachment, etc., etc. One thing Doomcock was reporting within this week in general, since the episode, last few days, is he basically made the point, and I think I may be biased just because I'm a big Doomcock fan, and the guy tends to be right. I'm going to give him props for that. He's not always right, but he tends to be right from what I have seen. And he's basically saying, he made the point that in the sequel trilogy, they make it very explicitly clear that Kylo Ren was was Luke's first student.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka explicitly says in this episode, Luke's building a school. Grogu is going to be its first student. And the episode ends with Luke giving Grogu a choice. What Doomcock proposes is that this is going to determine whether this whole sequel trilogy erasure is going to happen or not.
That's an interesting.
What do you guys think about that?
That's an interesting idea.
Depending on which way he chooses.
I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll drop the bomb.
Well, then, I'll go as someone on the outside.
Let's hear the outside perspective.
So, honestly, I think you bring up a good point. I think he brings up a good point. I don't think Disney would do that. I don't think they're just going to basically erase what they already did.
I don't think so either.
I think what you could see is either you have a situation where, obviously Grogu chooses the chainmail, and leaves, or you have a situation where he takes the saber, but they have a point in the episode where Luke says it's not as much Luke teaching him, but he's remembering the teachings of former masters. So Luke's just sort of guiding him down this path of remembering, you know?
True.
So is the other side of that him taking the saber and then just he remembers and he's done before any of the other students show up. You know, and obviously it doesn't go well with Kylo. So does he just, you know, if Grogu finishes this training and leaves, does he just never talk about it again? Because he's off doing whatever he's doing.
Exactly.
And because, you know, if you look at the way things went for the Jedi, it might be better that no one knows. You know,
yeah, I think that's
keep your
a really
numbers
good take.
kind of secret even from yourself.
I think it's a really good take, dude. I actually pretty much completely agree with you. I think the main points you hit were Disney would never do that.
Yep.
Well, it's more like Disney wouldn't allow Dave and John to do that. I think.
Correct.
Because I almost would.
They're not going to undo what they already done.
I think if Dave had his way, he would absolutely go nuts and use the whole mirror.
Sure.
I almost said mirror dimension. He would use the whole world between worlds, and he would, you know, he would go nuts, right? Because he's like a creative, goofy guy who wears a cowboy hat. He would definitely do that. And I, as a Star Wars nerd, who personally I'm a fan of Dave Filoni, I don't think that he can do no wrong. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not that naive, but I think that, like, you know, were he given full reign to do whatever, I think he could pull it off, and I think I would enjoy it just because I'm a Dave Filoni fan. I don't think that John would want to do something like that, because first of all, that's just like, as much as Kathleen Kennedy has been, you know, pretty much exposed over the last several years or whatever, the fact remains that she is, for whatever reason, a massive icon in Hollywood, right? She's essentially like Steven Spielberg's protege, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's got, you know, like massive credits and she's got a good resume, right? I mean, just look it up on IMDb and whatever. Her name is attached to some massive projects. To what degree she was involved, it kind of doesn't matter, right? Because it's a matter of the resume, and that's how Hollywood works, and that's how industry works. She's kind of an icon. I don't think that, like, Jon Favreau would either want to even just kind of be like, yeah, let's go along with this and completely slap Kathleen Kennedy across the face, who was still like the active sitting president of Lucasfilm.
Yeah, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
That's what I'm saying, exactly. Because like I bet you that she probably could go to Bob Chapek if they did something crazy like this, and she could fuck shit up.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it comes down to who's signing your paycheck.
Pretty much.
You know, I'm not going to go into work
and that's the harsh
and go
reality.
up to my boss and tell him to F off.
Yeah, like as cool as the whole theory has been about erasing the sequel trilogy, which I actually believed and was also a huge supporter of, I think I'm still kind of there, honestly, just because the sequels were that bad that I'm kind of just like, let's put it this way. I'm almost at the point, I think I said this last week too, I'm almost at the point where it's just like, I'm almost like, do whatever you got to do, make a multiverse Star Wars thing, like, you don't even have to make it, you literally don't even have to make it make sense. Like, give John and Dave their Favreau-verse, right? And just like let them go wherever they want to in the future, and they don't necessarily have to follow where the sequel trilogy went. And then let Disney and Kathleen Kennedy do whatever the fuck they want to do with Rey and Poe and fucking shoving Finn to the side, right? And blurring out Rose Tico. They can keep doing those fucking stories. I just won't go spend money on those.
Correct.
Like, I'm almost fine with like them doing that, and like everyone just keep your own headcanon.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
At that point.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say I watched an interview or read an article that said that those characters from the new trilogy are done. Like they said, after that trilogy, they weren't, like, there's not going to be, so, you know, a next series.
That was said.
Okay.
I think it wasn't like they were officially like, we're never doing this again. I think it was more like there's no current projects in the works with these characters. I think the idea is like Disney fucked up so bad, or at least they, you know, I mean, they made a bunch of money. That's the problem, is that, like, you know, you have an IP like Star Wars and you make a movie, no matter how bad it is, you're gonna make $1 billion fucking dollars.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
the box office.
I didn't hate the characters. You know, I didn't mind Rey.
They were fine.
I liked Rey as a character. I liked Poe. I thought his character and his background story was pretty good. But it's just everything else. It was just like so convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have quality character, and even like Finn. Finn's background story.
Finn was awesome. John Boyega's the fucking man.
Super good
he
background.
Got fucking screwed. Disney fucking screwed him. They fucking did a bait and switch. Look, Black Jedi, blah blah blah, right? And then we find out he's a stormtrooper because he's wearing the armor in the trailer and whatever. Remember all that? But then we also see him holding the lightsaber. Like that is exactly what, right? And it was such a cool. I would love to have seen a defecting stormtrooper who's force sensitive. Like I was all about all of that, and it was a complete fucking bait and switch for Rey.
You could have still had Rey be the chosen one or whatever, but you could have still had Finn be force sensitive.
That's what I'm saying. And then they tried to stick it in at the end.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah,
we're talking about with his right.
I have something to tell you.
He can sense the. Yeah, well, he can sense like the beacon that is necessary for all the Star Destroyers to leave orbit, leave the planet, because they can stay underground and they can break through the surface and they can sit there and float, but they can't just keep going up. They need a nav beacon, and Finn's special force powers, he can sense where that beacon is.
Opposed to his eyes that can see the giant dish.
Whatever. So
it's not hard to spot. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. It's like
there's one ship with a giant thing. Let's go.
It's such a mess. Josh, what do you think about? What do you
let
think
me
about
get to the main reason why I think this is not happening, and this is the reason right here. Disney is spending so much money to have
this is a good point.
Writers do Resistance books to solidify their canon. We have Resistance Reborn, Journey to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Age of Resistance, the official collector's edition, Spark of Resistance.
Do you happen to know like the timeline of all these? Are these like X amount of years after the rise of
they're taking place in between the movies, these books. So they're doubling down. Age of Resistance special with I can't remember her name.
Halsey.
Drawing a blank on it, but
Halsey.
They're solidifying what they did in the books. And Age of Resistance
doubling
heroes.
Down.
Like I would love to see The Last Jedi, Rose Tico, the Resistance fighter book. Like,
why is she getting a book?
I would love to see. I would love to see them redo the movies. I'm with everybody else. Wipe them away and redo them. But Disney's not doing that. Disney's not going to allow that.
Rose's
They're not going to okay
that. They're giving Rose a book. I like, as someone who has only seen the movies, this blows my mind. Her whole role in the third movie was like, I'm going to go do some research, and then that was it. You never saw her again. It was like, okay.
They even blurred her out. Vito, check out Vito on YouTube. He's got a great video about Rise of Skywalker. I'm pretty sure it's Vito. And he points out that at one point, like, Finn is like talking to Rose and walks by her, and like he gives her like the old like friendly pat on the shoulder. And then in another shot when I almost said Pippin, when Mary is talking about whatever the fuck he's talking about. Rose is in the background. Rose is in the background, and for some reason, she's in focus, and she turns like she's gonna like say something or be involved in the scene, and then they immediately blur the background. She just gets blurred out on screen, and it sucks too because it's just like I actually didn't really mind the actress. I really didn't.
So when they first introduced her, I thought she was going to be a love interest for Finn.
Well, I think everyone did. They fucking kissed.
Well, yeah, and I was totally in for that and everything. I was like, oh, this is great.
I was fine with that too. I was fine with Rey and Finn.
Yeah, but now we have a weird love triangle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, I honestly thought that could have been interesting because, like, Luke, Han, and Leia had a weird love triangle too. Even weirder.
But that's because he didn't know she was his sister.
That's very true.
Well, actually, now we got more like a square because you got Rey. Like, it's like a weird star. Everyone's going to the center. You got Rey at the center. You got Kylo.
You're right. I forgot about.
It's a weird triangle with her in the middle.
I can't wait to make content about how bad the sequel trilogy is.
Back to this. How did Luke get
So you think
his lightsaber?
Oh, that's a good point. I never really thought, because didn't he lose that fighting Palpatine in Episode 3?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think they like do have a shot. I almost want to bring it up. It's going to take me a second, but I think they do have a shot where they basically kind of show that, like, so it's when they're in the Senate chamber and they're jumping around. And remember how Yoda's falling,
he gets blasted, and
prior
his lightsaber goes flying.
Yes, right in the shot you can see his lightsaber go flying, and like clearly like it was a long way down, and like when he fell off the thing, he had to. Yeah, he had to get the fuck out of there. I don't think he had time to grab his lightsaber.
The only explanation I could think of,
he must have grabbed it. And
not even that. No, he couldn't because you watch him fall and then he just takes off. There's like you would have seen it.
The only thing I could think of is Palpatine kept it as a trophy.
Yep. And then when the Empire falls, Luke goes to Coruscant and basically collects it, along with whatever else Palpatine had in his personal possession.
Yeah, or however he finds it, wherever it ends up being. Yeah, the only thing I
would have
could
had
think
to
of,
have not been on the second Death Star.
No, it would have had to have been in his personal quarters or in a vault.
You're probably right. We'll probably find out. Because John and Dave, especially Dave Filoni, is not going to let.
He's not going to put something like that in and be like.
Because in the original canon, the Lucas canon, all of the lightsabers of the Jedi who died were able to be collected, brought to Coruscant in the middle of the city. Palpatine, I don't think Palpatine was there actually. I think he was off with Vader or something. The blue, I can't remember his name. The blue guy with the horns.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. Whatever. His personal assistant or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even know what like position he is, but he's some sort of official, some sort of whatever dignitary. They have like a ceremony in the middle of Coruscant, and they have like this massive furnace, and they throw all these lightsabers in there and like burn them in front of everybody and say like, the age of Jedi oppression is over, like yada yada yada, and they specifically show him like hold up Yoda's, and that's like the last one they throw in. So that's how it originally ended. So yeah, clearly Dave Filoni is not about to just kind of like breeze by that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a comic or I don't know something.
Pull a little sleight of hand maneuver, and kind of like what I do with my dog. Fake throw it into the fire and really it's behind my back. Gotcha.
With what Disney's doing, all the George Lucas stuff is no longer canon.
I know.
Disney is making the new canon. So how Luke got
I'm aware of that
lightsaber
is kind of just a mystery now.
Yeah,
this isn't the first time this has happened though.
It's open-ended.
How about Maz getting Luke's?
Oh yeah, dude, that one is hilarious.
These things just pop up. How do these things just go missing?
They literally, I guarantee you, JJ put that in there and had no fucking plan how he was going to close that loop. Which I get that it's not like the biggest deal in the world, but it's like, yeah, but you don't just like. That's kind of a relic within the story itself. So even within the framework of Star Wars, it's like you kind of can't just whip a lightsaber, especially one that has as much history as the one that it was, and just be like, yep, this is how our main hero gets a lightsaber. And then they just go, oh, never mind, we're not going to tell you how. And Maz literally goes, a good question for another time.
She was crawling on the floor
or not
in the city looking for that friggin' thing.
I guess
she found
to say this
with her little glasses.
They do add in enough about Maz, just like through the background and all that, to kind of, it makes her seem like sly and sneaky enough. That's like, okay, I don't know who you are, but you seem creepy enough where I think you could pull this shit off.
Spencer, I'm so happy you pulled this scene up.
This scene's awesome. This scene was sweet.
Let's talk about
my favorite bounty hunter. My favorite bounty hunter.
As much as I really like everything, and well, actually, let's wrap up the last point, Josh. Okay, so you think he's going what? He's going to pick the chainmail and go Mandalorian Yoda?
I think he's going to pick the chainmail and go Mandalorian. I will be pleasantly surprised with whatever he does. This is the first time with a Disney Star Wars where I have no idea what's going to happen, and I'm actually going to be happy no matter what he picks. If he picks the chainmail, that means he's going to be hanging out with Mando more, and we're going to get the duo together, and I'm going to be totally happy with that.
I
Or if he
really
picks
like
the
your perspective.
lightsaber and he's training with Luke, then I'm going to be totally happy with that because we get to see more of them together.
But how are they going to do that? He can't pick the lightsaber. That's going to break the canon. Or do you think they're going to like somehow resolve that?
Or maybe
because Ahsoka said Grogu's going to be Luke's first student. And
I think Disney doesn't care.
Maybe
They
he
don't care.
leaves
Think so?
later.
Disney does not care.
Really?
They saw this character as a moneymaker, and they're going to keep him in no matter what.
Oh, I mean, they're not trying to get rid of Grogu.
No. But like,
you're saying, I see what you're saying. If he chooses the lightsaber, like,
they don't care.
how are we going to follow Grogu and Luke as training to becoming a Jedi? Like,
They
what?
don't care.
Because the only shows we have right now are obviously Mando, Boba Fett, which is a limited series, Obi-Wan, which is a prequel to this time period. So you're right. It's like, how would they follow the Grogu?
They don't care.
Story.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't
think
this
just
is
kind of
gonna
put the nail in the
happen,
coffin for me.
I
think
hope.
that just convinced me.
You're welcome.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Bottom line.
This is what I hope happens. I hope he sits there and he's thinking about it, and he does his whole Force thing and senses some sort of danger for Mando and swipes both and just takes off. That's what I want. I want him to swipe both of them and just go tear it up on Tatooine.
I agree.
Because I think that would
what I
be
want to
amazing.
happen. All right, let's talk about Cad Bane, motherfuckers.
Yes, please.
Have you I almost used your real name.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get used to that. I've literally almost done it about 3 times so far. I'm actually very impressed that we've gone 47 minutes and I haven't slipped up once.
Just swap
Not that
out
it matters really.
Swap it out entirely for the rest of we're hanging out together in real life. Just
we're live, so it's not like you're important enough.
No. That name is gone. That name's dead to you for the rest of our lives.
I just have to call you this from now on.
Yes, you got to change my contacts in your phone. When we go hunting together.
Have you seen the Clone Wars series?
No, I've been meaning to watch it for a long time. I just never got to it.
It's award-winning. You should absolutely check it out. If anyone hasn't seen the Clone Wars series,
I'll be honest.
It's my favorite Star Wars.
Unfamiliar with this character.
You are?
Yes, but
man,
really liked him.
What an entrance, dude.
Yeah. As soon as this hold on. That guy. Go back one frame. The deputy. As soon as you meet the deputy when Mando shows up, I knew that guy was dead.
Yeah. Josh said the exact same thing.
I said he's going to get him killed, the sheriff. I was like, as soon as the deputy walked out, I was like, that stupid motherfucker is going to get this guy killed. Because I like the sheriff, and I want to see more of him.
Dude, he's great. He's played by Timothy Oliphant.
Who is this guy?
Who is what guy?
The character of Cad Bane.
That's Cad Bane. He's a bounty hunter.
Okay.
He's just a really big. So let's put it this way: he's kind of like the prequel era Dave Filoni version of Boba Fett, but much more fleshed out.
Yes.
Okay.
Much more developed. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
framing?
definitely, by far.
I thought that was a good framing. So he's just a great character. He's gone toe to toe with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Shit, Mace Windu.
Excuse me.
He's killed Jedi. He has survived some of the most badass Jedi.
Yep.
He's worked with Sidious. He's got one, and he's ruthless. He blew up. Remember when he blew up the Senate?
Yep.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, this guy's a real fucking deal. He's essentially what Boba Fett, in my opinion at least, Dave Filoni took the concept of Boba Fett and was like, he shedded the whole Mandalorian aspect of it and the armor and exploring that whole thing, and was just like this whole badass bounty hunter, whatever, is a really cool concept. I like how. So what Lucas did with the character of Boba Fett after Return of the Jedi through comics, I shouldn't say Lucas, but like Lucas's Star Wars, what they did with it is they basically made him an anti-hero. Mm-hmm. What I like is that that's very much not this character at all. This is a villain, and he is very well written. The voice actor, I don't know who, someone Google it if you want. The voice actor is absolutely fantastic. He's very, very well acted.
I really liked him from the second you see him walking in.
So
like, it's that quintessential Western.
so Western.
Like
This is some John Wayne shit, man.
It really brought me back to watching like John Wayne movies.
Down to the scarf.
The
he's
good,
wearing.
the bad, the ugly.
He's got the scarf, the John Wayne scarf.
Clint Eastwood strolling in with that wide brim hat, getting ready to throw down. It's so even the way he's dressed. Look at the way that is so traditional bad guy in a Western.
Can we perfect.
If he showed up on a black speeder, it would be the whole package.
Could we just think about that? He walked from God knows where into this freaking town.
Dude, I thought about that too.
You look in the background, you can't really see a ship or a speeder or anything. There's nothing out there. Like, where did he come from?
It would have made more sense for him to roll up onto the edge of town on just a mean looking black speeder.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything. You see the sheriff is like, he knows something.
Go back to that shot.
What shot? The first one?
No. Just
the wind chimes.
Just a hair. The wind chime. Yeah. Yep, right there. That is so.
That's John Wayne, right?
Old school Western.
Yeah.
There's about to be a shootout, and they do that pan across the town to weird little things happening. The only thing that's missing
the dust rolling across the street
is one of those tumbleweeds cruising by.
Yeah,
that's the only thing missing.
Yes.
We'll get some spice blowing in next time.
Now we're talking. There you go.
It was so good. So I'm looking through the footage of my live reaction to this scene. I'm trying to find it because it was gold. I posted a picture of it. Oh, it happens right before the cantina scene.
I love listening to you click. This is just.
You can hear me click?
It's great content.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.
No, that's fair. Hang on. Well, yeah, let me do my stupid thing real quick. Josh, help me out, Mr. Co-host. fill in some dead air for a second.
Okay.
Tell me about that guy. Just I still don't really know who he is.
Cad Bane really gets to the height of like the bounty hunter royalty during the Clone Wars.
Is he a member of the guild or like Mando's a member of the bounty hunters guild?
That's a good question. I don't know.
That I
don't know if the bounty hunter guild that we see in Mando is the same bounty hunter guild that would have existed back during the Clone War era.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Like Spencer said earlier, he does a lot of jobs for Sidious during the Clone Wars. He bombs the Senate.
He kidnaps Jedi babies.
Yeah, kidnaps Jedi, the children.
What a weirdo.
He is a dark.
He has no rules.
No rules, nothing. He is your heartless bounty hunter that everybody was expecting this Boba series to be like. Like, everybody was expecting Boba to be the heartless bounty hunter and everything like that. We didn't get that, but now they're bringing Cad Bane in, and I feel like he's going to fill that gap.
Because I'll be honest, when I first saw it, when they first announced that this was going to be a show, that's why I wanted Boba just like take the throne and then just going out and just doing his thing and just crushing it.
And that's what I think a lot of people have been disappointed by is the first 4 episodes are
so
slow, boring.
I wanted some shootouts. I wanted some serious shootouts with Boba Fett. Just
right, and Boba Fett is like not acting like Boba Fett. He's like this reformed guy, and it's just
I don't want that.
Look, we get a stupid chase with the biker kids, and he doesn't use his jetpack once.
Also, those bikes did not look like they're going fast at all. Those speed. It was like those guys that like came out in front of them. I was talking to Spencer about this a couple weeks ago. It's like, no, you're on a speeder. I don't want to be able to see the buildings you're going by clearly. I want that to be completely blurred, like in the original trilogy. I want and when that guy hopped down in front of you and you were able to avoid that. No. let's be serious. You're gonna hit that guy.
That guy should have been.
He should have been.
Like
He should have been
fly
flying
on the windshield. Yeah, he should have been gone.
Sent flying into a building or something like that.
It was very poorly done. It was very poorly done. Let's watch my silly reaction to me recognizing. It took me this long to figure out who it was.
Dude, I knew right away when he started walking. I knew who that was.
I thought that was so funny. It didn't click with me right away. I don't know why. I guess it was just because this is the last. Honestly, this is the last fucking thing I would have expected. You know, despite the fact that Filoni's been doing this the whole time.
I love how he gets this woman to go like, "Hey, go tell everyone to go inside." Like, you couldn't do that yourself.
No, he's got to stand there and wait. This is a Western, remember?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Good point.
Also, the slowest walk up.
Can you hear it? Probably not.
No, I can't hear anything.
That's all right. Holy shit, it's Cad Bane. Holy shit, it's Cad Bane.
It did take a while for to figure that one out.
So pull up a picture of Cad Bane. Let's get a close up.
Yeah, you want to see the animated?
No,
so this is
from
from
the one in Boba. Yeah, because they did a fantastic job with his costume.
He looks a lot like
his air hoses to breathe.
His tubies.
Everything about it. Yeah. So Spencer explained to me the tubes. So Spencer, go explain what the tubes are for again, because this is I never knew this, and this is very interesting.
Honestly, I thought he was a vampire.
So it's not something that they address within the Clone Wars itself. Like in the animated series, they don't explicitly say it, but I think it was in like a comic or something. I actually learned this through shout out to Star Wars Theory on YouTube. He's absolutely massive, and he's probably the best source for Star Wars knowledge. Like even he's like better than Wikipedia, man. You know what I mean? Because like
I would love to have a conversation with him.
Oh my goodness, good luck, dude. He's massive. He's from Canada. He's the man. Have you seen his fan film? He made a Vader fan film.
Change things.
I think I have
about Vader.
Yeah, I think I have.
Is it because he's Canadian we can't talk to him? Is that the...
All right, back to the tubes.
Because he's massive. Because he's massively huge.
Back on topic.
So he had his esophagus essentially removed and rerouted using these tubes here, essentially so that his esophagus isn't in his neck or it connects. It doesn't run through his air doesn't run through his esophagus essentially.
Why?
So that he couldn't be force choked by Sith or Jedi, and so that he can breathe in space.
Can't they just like use the force to rip those tubes out?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I feel like there's a flaw with that character right there.
Yeah.
Or
that's a good point.
Throw the lightsaber at them.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely.
When he's right there, I thought he was like a vampire or some shit.
But
like some
man,
sort of vampire with those teeth.
He looks so good,
dude. I knew they were both dead.
Right or like away. He's got like an air tank type thing on his back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what that is.
You can't just rip that off. I'm just saying, man. Like, I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm not Dave Filoni. You're not insulting me. It's a good point. I don't know. Probably. But here's what he looked like.
I love.
Oh, look! Someone did a deep fake.
They made him darker. Yeah.
Someone did their own Luke Skywalker deep fake, like in Mando season 2. That does actually look a little bit better. That's funny.
I love the hat in the animated version, though.
Oh yeah, it's massive.
It's huge. It honestly, it reminds me of a Scary Movie.
He's got the
when the sheriff gets out of the car and her hat keeps getting.
Yeah, this is like yeah, it's exactly it. This is like when he's first introduced in the Clone Wars. This is what he looks like. So, he's awesome. He's got rocket boots.
Go back to the Book of Boba. Pull up his gun, the scene where he shows his gun. It's a Colt.
He's got a Colt?
They have a replica of a Colt, and that's his gun. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Try to pause it on his gun, which just gives you even more of a Western vibe.
Yeah, and the sheriff's gun is
there, right there. That's a Colt.
It's got the cylinder and everything. Threw a scope on it, but
Oh, dude, he annihilates the deputy. I love that.
Dude, he is able to fire one shot into the marshal and
Well, he
four?
hits the marshal because he knows he's the only real threat, and then just puts the rest into.
But he waited for his opening.
One,
as soon as the marshal
two,
turned
three,
his head,
four, five.
that's when
Oh,
he
yeah.
shot.
Ouch. Ouch town. Population U, bro.
The marshal got distracted by the deputy because he cared about his deputy. And as soon as that opening hit, that's when Cad Bane fired.
You know what you just made me realize is this was set up here. This was set up. So first of all, look at his.
Yep.
I can't zoom in, damn it.
Well, you can tell. You can tell the way that the handle is. It's
got
designed
like
off an old Colt.
I love it, man. So here you can see that he gives these guys a chance to live.
Yep.
He's just like, listen, I'm a marshal. I know what you're doing here. I don't care. You guys are, yeah. He's like, yeah, just don't run it through here. You can go around. I didn't see nothing. You didn't break any laws. Just like, go on your merry way.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just wants to protect his town. That's all this is. It's like this nice little morality sort of. He's like this is a good guy who's willing to like look the other way.
Yep.
Just because like he'd rather ensure the safety of his townsfolk.
I really like
get on his little righteous high horse and risk everybody's life.
He is a fantastic character.
Timothy Oliphant is the actor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude,
he's a great actor. Great actor.
He's so great. I'm pretty sure he's in the original Transformers. Isn't he the Marine?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yep.
He's so great. Yeah, he's a fantastic actor. There's actually an article I had about him. So he actually was throwing shade. Did you see that? Did you read that article?
Do you want to pull that up, or do you want me to pull that up?
Go ahead. Yeah, actually, you want to? I got to run to the bathroom real quick. I'm sorry. Do you mind? You want to just like take this?
Yeah,
talk about this
I got it.
Perfect.
Yep. Go on.
And then you can also talk about how finally
So
Boba Fett is rising to the top of the charts right now, which is a big deal because last week we were talking about how for the first 3-4 weeks of the show, it was doing miserably bad. It was doing worse than Hawkeye, I believe, or at least around
it was
as bad as Hawkeye
was. Doing worse than Hawkeye.
All right, thank you, Josh. I'll be right back.
Yep. So, I think I might have just accidentally closed it. Oh
Nice
no!
job.
Oh, blunders.
This is why you can't put you in charge.
I know, right? Oh, I'm cracking under the pressure. Oh no.
Our whole one viewer right now is going to be so disappointed.
I know our one viewer is going to be so very upset. Just give me 1 second. I got it right.
So I haven't actually left yet, and everything that just happened is fucking hilarious.
I got it.
I just put the link in the chat.
I just opened up another one. I got it. I'm sharing it right now. Oh my lord.
You're getting demoted.
Yep, I know, right? Fire me now. Okay, so here we go. So, Book of Boba Fett, quite an interesting conversation. He gets passively aggressive. He's quoted saying, "I always dig it when big media properties have a special thanks for the writers and the creators who contributed to their words and stories, and it's a bummer when they don't do that. And I bring this up for absolutely no reason at all, and I will almost certainly delete this tweet." So, yeah. So I guess he's not credited in the after episode credits, which I think is stupid because he is a huge part. Or maybe the writer. Yeah, Timothy.
No, that's it. That's the actor.
Oh yeah, Timothy Oliphant. Yep. Yeah, there it is. Many probably don't even know that the characters first came from the canon book trilogy, something which probably makes the exclusion all the more frustrating for Chuck Wendig.
So
Disney's not giving credit where credit is due, is basically what this article is saying. Which, I mean, are we really all that surprised?
And he's pushing for it.
Yeah. So he's saying like, hey, Disney's not giving credit where credit is due. But what I'm saying is are we really that surprised that Disney isn't giving credit to
Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah. The Scarlett Johansson lawsuit, prime example. Disney doesn't care.
Honestly, dude,
So
fuck
that's-
Disney a little bit. I mean, what is like? This isn't nearly as big as like a lawsuit, obviously, like as public of a lawsuit as they dealt with ScarJo. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is just because it's like, I don't know. I like the actor, and I think he's a great actor, and I've seen him in interviews, and he seems like a stand-up type dude. Obviously, it's like who knows what he's like off camera, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is, when you have actors who are like keep in mind, it's like these guys are getting paid a shit ton of fucking money. To go public with something like this is like you have to feel a certain way. You got to feel pretty fucking strongly to like go basically bash your boss when your boss is fucking Disney. Now, do I think this is like this massive deal? No, but it just more I wanted to point it out because it's like it just shows you that like Disney is Disney and just Hollywood in general, like they've put out some awesome stuff. Like the Infinity War saga is great, like good for them, etc. But I think if I had to kind of like summarize the last like 5-10 years of Hollywood in general, it's been lackluster, especially when you think about these awesome IPs that they're all rebooting, like the original trilogy and stuff that we grew up with, right? It's like where are those stories? Because like I'm 30, turning 31 in a couple months. I'm an old guy now. But it's like, I'm at the point where I'm thinking about like, hey, like when I have kids someday, like I want them to have entertainment and learn from characters like a Luke Skywalker, for example, or like, I'll give you a more modern example, like Gina Carano. Like I have a younger sister, right? And I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, if I have a daughter, like I want her to like look up to a character like Cara Dune. You know what I mean? And Princess Leia.
We won't be seeing her anymore.
Right. Right. And it's
because
just
she said some things on Twitter. However, they have a writer writing books for the High Republic that has some extremely racist tweets going back 5 years?
Yeah.
Yet she gets a pass, but Gina doesn't because it didn't agree with Disney's picture.
So I can add on to that story. So Whoopi, you see the controversy with Whoopi Goldberg and what she said on The View. She said the Holocaust wasn't about the Jews. It was just man's inhumanity to man. And she was like, it's just white people being awful to other white people, which is just, first of all, the claim that it wasn't about race is what she said. The Holocaust wasn't about race.
In a long time.
Well, all right.
Hang on. Go ahead.
You know my background. I have a history degree, and I specialize in specifically the Holocaust. I see where she's trying to go with it. It's not about race, and okay, I'll give her that. Okay, it's about religion. The Holocaust was as persecution for the Jews was about religion, but there was so many other people that are included. You got Slavs. There were people from Africa and Asia that were included in that. It was all encompassing. If you were not a white guy in Germany, you're fucked.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
But even that, if you weren't the right kind of white guy, you're fucked.
Jake, are you reading this thing? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg says Order 66 wasn't about the Jedi.
No, not at all.
That is fantastic.
I think I get what she's trying to say.
Really?
When it wasn't about race.
Jews were like Judaism is the religion, but like Jewish is also like an ethnicity, especially because it's also like that's what the bad guys don't say it because this is on Twitch and stuff. Don't say the buzzword, please. But like the bad guys that we're talking about, they definitely thought it was about race.
Oh, but that's the thing. It came down to, they thought it was, like you said, it was an ethnicity. It was if you had an ounce of blood, you were that. Boom, it's done.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to bash her for what she's trying to say. I get what she's trying to get at, saying, it wasn't about race, because Judaism is a religion. I get it. Like it's anyone can identify as like I could go convert to Judaism. It doesn't make me Jewish by ethnicity or by race, but it's the other guy doesn't care. Like,
Yeah, I think that's
they
kind of the
don't-
determining factor.
they
It's
don't
like
care.
it's kind of not up to you. Like
Yeah.
when someone says, "I'm gonna do this horrible thing because of race," and then in
Yeah.
hindsight, you're just like, "That really wasn't about race," and it's like,
Semantic.
like,
It's
oh,
semantics.
so you're speaking for
It's semantics. That's what it is. You know,
it's semantics.
It
It's
is.
semantics.
You know, but it's Whoopi. So
I guess I get what you're saying. I think I more or less disagree.
that's fair.
Yeah, and that's fine. It would be an interesting conversation to kind of crack that open, but I don't think we need to here.
And I'm not saying I disagree with you. I get what you're saying, and I do. I agree with you. It was 100% about race.
Yeah,
and religion. She's trying to split that.
The larger
she's
point,
splitting hairs.
Yes, 100%. The larger point is that she got suspended for 2 weeks, whereas Gina Carano posted a meme
and got fired.
and got fucking fired. Yeah,
I liked her character.
She was fucking awesome.
I really liked her character.
Is The View on ABC? Is that Disney?
Yes, that was my point. Yes, The View is on ABC, and ABC is owned by Disney.
Yeah, but Whoopi makes them more money, so.
Than Gina Carano?
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right if you really broke it down.
For sure.
But either way, and it's also
He's been on The View for
it's also long? It's like, do you think ABC is gonna fire Whoopi Goldberg?
No,
you think they're gonna fucking
Whoopi.
do that?
No, can't do that. We're gonna get another lawsuit.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, you fired her, and then she's gonna come back with it's because of race.
Like, whoa, didn't see that one coming.
Right, dude. You really walked into that one, guys.
So the next thing we got to talk about here.
Boba's doing well finally. Or at least the show.
Yeah, and he hasn't been in it for 2 weeks.
That's the funny part.
You literally just started airing Mandalorian again. That's what you did.
Yeah,
Boba is hitting top of the charts, and we've had an entire episode with Mando, no Boba at all.
Bro,
and
two.
then we've had an
You've had
episode
two.
with Mando, Luke, and Grogu, and what, like 3 minutes of Boba?
Yeah, you two. No, he wasn't.
Did he even have a speaking line in this episode?
Oh no, he did at the very end. At the very end.
At the meeting, he had a couple
He had
of
one
lines.
line, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you can't say that's an episode of Boba Fett. Those last 2 episodes, because he's not in it.
But what is that?
The
What does
first one
that
is
say?
all Mando. Hey Spencer, you looking at new hunting gear?
Huh?
You've been looking at new hunting gear?
Why do you say that?
You had an ad for First Light.
Oh.
So right here, viewing of Boba Fett nearly doubled from its premiere in December.
Yeah.
The past 2 episodes haven't had any Boba.
None. That's my point. You've been airing new episodes of The Mandalorian the whole time.
It's
very strange.
Boba Fett scored the highest concentration of male viewers of any original this week.
How do you know? How do you know who's in my Disney account? You got a camera in my room?
It's probably because whenever people create an account, or it's either connected, or it's connected to their Google.
What Disney doesn't understand is we all share.
So that was something crazy when I saw that article.
Well, like it's good. As fans, I think personally, at least, this is something that it's like, yay. I think despite the fact that the show has had a really, really rocky start, in general, I think like we want Star Wars to succeed when they are doing things we like. You know what I mean? Because I think, especially with something like this, like they're able to see the analytics of like episode 1 was the premiere, so it's going to get something, right? And then like 2 dropped, 3 probably dropped a little bit more, 4 probably dropped, right? And then everyone hears about 5. Mando's back, right? 5 was good, right? And then we have 6, and then we're bringing back Ahsoka and Luke and Grogu and doing all this crazy shit, right? So it's like they can clearly see it's like, all right, this is what's working. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to look at the numbers and be like, Boba Fett was a great success. Let's make another season of Boba Fett, but like not do any of the cool shit and keep going with this weird Boba Fett and this new version of Boba Fett who, frankly,
you got to adjust.
Ben off character.
Yes.
So my question is, how much adjustment can they realistically make? Like I'm not familiar with the industry quite to the degree that you are, for example. I know we have some other friends that are very familiar with the industry, and but obviously, unfortunately, they're not present at the moment.
What do you mean exactly?
Yeah,
So,
I'm confused.
I'm getting to it. Give me a second. Just hold your damn horses. They have to adjust. They have to adjust the show. How realistic is any of that going to happen? I mean, I have to assume the entire season's already been finished and it's out of post-production, and it's just sitting there waiting to get released.
I see. You're talking about like timelines and just the logistics of like how
So
fast.
Are they kind of like, okay, we're shit out of luck, we'll have to adjust it for next season? Or is there's some time where they can go into post and kind of monkey around?
No. By the time the first episode of a series like this premieres, the entire series has very much been done for a while.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's not like they shoot 3 or 4 episodes and start working on those episodes.
They shoot the whole thing.
Correct. It's literally just like a film.
It's just like a film. Like how much time do you have? Realistically, to we can go back into post and kind of try to tweak this to fix our fuck up.
Well, I think like a regular TV series that is like, so say 10 episodes, about roughly an hour each, if we're talking about hour long, right? So let's say, that's 10 hours essentially. It's essentially just like a film, right? So it's like, it's a little bit different in the sense that they have to do more filming. Typically, I guess I should say. It depends on the scale, of course. Like, for example, like Game of Thrones season 8, like that was just so massive in scale that it was essentially like 8 movies was like, that's essentially what the series was. It was essentially 8 movies back to back. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
With a series like this, it's kind of like that. So they probably do. They do have to move faster though. So they get all their filming done probably in a matter of. Man, if I'm super wrong about this, if anyone's like a super film buff, please correct us. Let us know in the comments, etc. I think you can roughly I think like Infinity War was shot in like matter of like 8 months or something. You know what I mean? And then it takes like a year and a half to do the editing. Yeah, it's like something like that. So like the show when COVID screwed everything up, obviously, but it's like typically the new season is gonna premiere once a year around the same time roughly. So it's like they have to essentially shoot a movie in half the time frame. Is almost the way to think about it.
It's not like South Park. They're not doing this they're not filming an episode week to week and like, oh, that episode did good, let's continue this, or that episode did really bad, let's change this in the next week and then air it next.
Yeah, and reshoots are a big deal. Anytime you hear a set saying that they have to go back and do reshoots, that's essentially a massive red flag. Because that basically means like every time, every minute that you have hundreds of staff members plus your main cast of actors, like on set, it's costing you a shit ton of money. So anytime they have to go back and do reshoots, like Justice League needed a bunch of reshoots, and that was a really, really big deal. I think they did a bunch of reshoots for Captain Marvel. Rise of Skywalker was notorious for having massive amount of reshoots, almost to the point where it kind of felt like I remember reading articles at the time before the movie had come out. People were talking about it kind of seems like they had planned for reshoots because like they just knew like basically they basically shot like 7 movies because they didn't know what the hell they wanted to do with the plot. So they basically just shot everything they could do. Yeah. Like there were sines where Kylo lives, Kylo dies, Kylo turns, he doesn't turn, Rey lives, Rey doesn't, Rey dies, blah, blah, blah. Rey and Finn end up together, Rey and Rey and Kylo end up together. Like they just shot everything and then did a bunch of like focus groups and test screenings and basically like edited the movie, or I should say like they almost like wrote the movie after they shot it. And it's like it's like you want to know how to take $250 million and set it on fire, do that.
Yeah,
morons,
pretty much.
Let's move into some news, because we can break down Boba Fett more. So I think in general, Boba Fett is great. It was great seeing Cad Bane. I'm very, very excited. I think that's kind of the main thread I wanted to really take away, is that like I'm really excited. Honestly, no matter whatever way they go, you made a really good point. In fact, like I think you kind of changed my mind live, like live on the air here. I think you literally changed my mind when you were just like, I'd be happy either way. Like if he picks up Yoda's lightsaber, I'm fucking happy as a Star Wars fan.
Oh,
If he goes the Mandalorian route and we get to see Grogu and the Mandalorian together on screen more, I think that would be awesome too. So, and the other thing that you really said,
I'm excited as a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah, and exactly. The other thing you said that really stuck out to me is they were like, how would they even do this whole, like, if Grogu like, I think I agree with you that like Grogu is probably not going to choose the lightsaber, because it's just like, how are they gonna? They can't do a show. What are they gonna do? The Grogu show? I doubt it.
I mean, see how much money
it would be awesome, but like you're not going to
watch it. That's what Disney cares about.
That would be amazing. Like, I think so here's what could be cool is they did something like this, where basically they have this like sad moment, right? Where like Grogu picks the lightsaber essentially, and he gets some sort of like, goodbye scene with with Din. And because he just knows, like, he's got to go train, right? And then they essentially kind of take that character and almost shelve him. You know what I mean? And then they continue with whatever they're doing with the Favreauverse, right? Because they clearly set up Mando's now got to find his way back into the good graces of his coven, right?
Yep.
He's got to go to the waters.
He's got to go
whatever,
to the spring, or whatever.
Mines, the waters of some sort of underground lake in a mine and on the planet of Mandalore or whatever. So that means we could possibly see the actual planet of Mandalore after in live action. That would be fucking
Night
awesome.
Of 1,000 Tears. That is exciting.
Awesome. I would love to see that. So I think
snippet they showed of the bombing.
Get closer to your mic.
My bad. That little.
Oh, the flashback.
Yeah, it was nuts. With the bombers going over.
It was brutal, right? Wasn't it dark?
It was extremely dark.
Just
dark for Disney.
Very dark for Disney.
Very dark.
Yeah, I mean, and here's why I say, because it's like violence is one thing. When you show people being executed, that's like another tier of violence.
Yeah.
Which they actually kind of had like an executing type moment in Grogu's flashback of the Order 66 scene.
Yeah.
Where after the clone troopers gun down the 3 Jedi, they walk by them and like put a couple shots into their lifeless bodies.
But it's very realistic for, soldiers going in and clearing something though.
Yeah, that is true. It's like the Empire, right? Exactly. Like it was, the Empire was trying to annihilate
behind you,
right?
Make sure they're done.
They weren't just like attacking.
We talked about this earlier. It was the same case as the Wookiees. Palpatine knew Mandalore would never bow to his rule, which is the same reason why during Order 66, he pretty much wiped out all the Wookiees. He knew the Wookiees would never bow to the Empire, would never bow to their rule. He would have to fight them till the end of time. Mandalore was the same case. If a Mandalore rose to the ranks of their leader and said, we're going to fight the Empire, Palpatine knew that he would be fighting them to the end of time too. So it was just better to try to wipe them all out.
Yeah, and I'm glad they're going this dark. I'm actually surprised to see Disney go as dark as they have been the last couple episodes. Even if they were just like in flashbacks, like I get that we're probably not going to see like a live in the moment scene of something that brutal, you know what I mean? But the fact that they're even willing to go back and show that in a flashback and like literally show
pretty big,
like show droids executing people, it's just like, all right, well, at least they're green lighting that, because that at least shows that like they're willing to kind of, at least bring it to that level of maturity, right? Which, like, I mean, personally, I don't know if Disney would ever do something like this. I've heard rumors, but it's all just very much speculation at this point. But like, as a Star Wars fan, my favorite Star Wars stories were always about Sith. Darth Bane's my favorite character, who created the Rule of Two. I would love to see like a solo, like Star Wars anti-hero project, like with a Sith as the main protagonist, right? Or whatever you want to call it. I would love to see something like that. I've been craving that for like, oh man,
Vader post
yeah, like a Vader
post Clone Wars, pre-Rebellion.
Yeah. Yep.
Just tearing it up.
Yep, like pre-Rogue One.
Yep.
Like show me like the 5 years leading up to Rogue One, because essentially he was just like, that's when he was like rolling with the Inquisitors and all
Hunting
of that.
down what was left of the Jedi across the galaxy.
Which in the Kenobi concept art that leaked last week, go check out our last episode if you want to see that, or just use Google. But you should go watch our video. You can see in one of the pictures there's an Inquisitor, which is awesome because I love that whole storyline, because that's basically all about Vader. Is that like that's what the Inquisitors represent? Like the characters themselves, frankly, are kind of like they're kind of pawns. They don't really matter. It's more story exploring Vader and what he was up to, and because this is like right after Order 66 ish. Like now they're really establishing the Empire, but they still got to build it, right? And we're basically like seeing like the Inquisitors is a story that illustrates Vader's fall to becoming the Vader that we see in A New Hope and Empire, where he's like really fucking ruthless and really cold and really machine and calculating, you know, like cold and calculating.
You also see that a little bit in the Solo movie. He's on a planet and the Empire is trying to take control of the planet because they're resisting. So like there is a large period where there's planets that are resisting the Empire. So invaders involved in all that stuff. If it is too hard for the generals and the troops to take over, Palpatine sends Vader to squash the rebellions on the planets and stuff like that.
Or Vader sends his Inquisitors.
A lot of those rebellions too, at least in the book standpoints, are being led by Jedi.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there's one planet that has a resistance against the Empire, and the leader of that resistance is a Jedi.
Is this Disney canon, or are you talking about Lucas canon?
This is before Disney.
Lucas canon.
This is Lucas canon.
So we got some really awesome news here. Obi-Wan Kenobi series. This actually just broke, man, like shortly right before I tweeted this, so just a few hours ago. It's unconfirmed
on Twitter. If you're looking for news, we post it as soon as we find out about it.
Yep. Thank you for that, Josh. So I have to admit I needed to do the research. I guess I should technically go and confirm that this guy is who everyone who is talking about this says he is, but apparently he is. Oh shit! Wait, I wrote it in the doc. What is it? He's the. Oh, I didn't write it. Wait, where is it? Oh, right here. Okay,
you don't have anything
write it down. Yeah, I thought I did. I'm trying to think of this title that I read that he's a higher up at Disney. And apparently he tweeted this earlier today. He's what is he? He's like an executive Disney Plus. I'm sorry, that's what it was. He's like one of the executives of Disney Plus specifically, and he tweeted this today and then promptly deleted it. And that basically was like what the internet is banking on as far as it being confirmed, is that he jumped the gun on this. They were probably going to like wait to release this. Maybe he thought today was the day to release this, or like, you know, like their marketing was going to announce the premiere date or whatever. And like, maybe it was supposed to be next Friday and he screwed up. So he deleted it right away. So like, that's what the internet is saying, is essentially they think it's unconfirmed, but Obi-Wan Kenobi series premiering this May.
Which would be awesome.
Which would be freaking awesome. That is around the time that like the spring series start to kick off, April, May, right before, you know, summer when everyone's not inside watching movies. So the timeline matches up. We knew that Obi-Wan was coming in 2022. I think the original guesswork date was like fall. But this isn't super crazy. I think early 2022 is what I heard actually. I think that was more or less what everyone was suspecting last I was looking into it. So it's all lining up. That would be awesome. We'll probably hear once news like this leaks. Typically, like if they can't contain it and it like gets out there and goes viral and shit, the company will typically just like go confirm it. Like they'll like give it the weekend. And then they'll confirm it on like Monday or like late Sunday night or something. This also could have been a leak straight from Disney. This could have been 100% purposeful. Like, you know, Marvel has done that plenty of times. They purposefully leak information on Twitter.
there's been a lot of hype about Lord of the Rings coming out on Amazon. So I could totally see Disney doing this to try to like, hey guys, don't forget about us. We're doing Kenobi. Lord of the Rings is coming out soon, but we got Star Wars Kenobi over here.
So
don't forget about us.
I just pulled that guy out. He's the Enterprise Global Program Manager for Disney and the streaming services.
Good enough for me.
Yep.
So
yeah, good enough for me.
Like, he's in charge of all of their streaming services.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously we can't confirm it until like Disney Plus tweets it out, but like I think that's pretty much confirmed. You want to shift gears? Talk about Halo. We got about half an hour left.
So Halo.
Josh, I'm gonna let you kick this off, man, because well, first of all, let's take it point by point. The trailer release. Let's start with that.
Yes. So the trailer looks great. I'm a huge Halo fan. Played all the games. Games I haven't played, I've watched people do walkthroughs of the games, so I don't miss the story and I stay intact and everything like that because I left Xbox and went to PlayStation for a while. But I'm back on. Well, I'm on PC a lot now, so I'm back on Xbox.
What happened with Sony? Didn't Sony just? I haven't looked into this yet. What's the big story that Sony bought? Didn't Sony buy 343 or Bungie? No. You know about this?
I'm unaware of this.
Okay, no problem.
I lost audio. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here.
That's all right. I'll take over. The trailer released. I think I'm still learning YouTube. So I could be wrong, but I think we can watch this.
All right, there we go. I can hear you guys again. I'm not sure what just happened.
Gucci, man?
Huh?
I said, are you Gucci, man?
You can just go ahead and never say that ever
again. Yeah, don't ever say that to me again.
Are you Gucci, Mike? March 24th.
I'm just gonna leave.
Yes, it's right around the corner. I'm super excited for this. My only issue.
Let's start with the good stuff first.
Yeah, let's start with the good stuff. So we see
the Chief. The trailer.
Yes, so we see the Chief ripping off a freaking turret like you do in the games. That's freaking fantastic. He's fighting the insurgents, which is what happens before the Covenant shows up. That's why the Spartans were created originally. So, I mean, okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. So Halsey, we're pretty sure Halsey knew about the Covenant before humanity does and the military does and everything like that. And that's why she created the Spartans. But to convince the military to accept the Spartan project, she said they were to fight the insurgents. We're pretty sure they were to fight the Covenant, and she knew about it the whole time. This show is supposed to go into John growing up as a kid a little bit, showing how he becomes Spartan 117, showing how the Spartans were created. I think Paramount's changing a couple things to make it more PC correct, with like the kidnapping of children and stuff like that. So, I mean, we're just going to have to, go into this with a little bit of a grain of salt if you're big into like the lore of Halo and everything like that. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see like that. But the trailer looks great, and I'm actually super excited for the show. And I mean, we're just going to kind of have to see where it goes. I think the Elite looks great.
Yeah.
The fighting looks great when he's whipping the assault rifle up and everything like that. I mean, visually, this is looking good. I'm a little interested to see what that is happening there. If that's supposed to be like their version of Forerunner technology.
Yeah.
Well, the Index was on Halo, and I don't think he was on Halo in that.
No.
I don't think they're going to follow the source material.
Yeah.
Well, we know they're not.
Well, they're calling it Halo, so I would expect to see a freaking Halo, because that's what Halo is. Halo's not the game. Well, Halo's the ring.
No, I know. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, I think this will end with them finding the ring, right?
I could see that as like
And
an end to season 1.
Who is that girl on High Charity?
And
Like,
why
what-
she got
go-
these
scroll-
little snake things
scroll-
following her?
Can you scroll back a little bit? Jump back. Back a little.
That
Yeah,
was her
yeah.
right there.
Go right there. No, let it go. I think she's next. Coming
Yep.
up soon here. Now there's Halsey. There's a Covenant ship. Her right there. Pause.
Just keep playing. She comes back up.
This one I don't
It's
know
clearly
what's going
High
on with
Charity.
this. That's High Charity in the background. I think she's a whole new character. She is not in the books. She is not in the games. I'm interested to see who she is, what her purpose is in this. We're just gonna have to wait and see at this point. You know what I mean?
I think, like at first, I'm like, it looks great. It's still kind of almost surreal to see Master Chief like in live action.
In a
right?
live action, yeah.
So like the nerd and the little kid in me who like grew up playing Halo, the first one on Xbox original. That was literally the first video game I ever bought with my own money. And I bought the original Xbox, and it was the Halo Combat Evolved Edition. So it was all green.
Nice.
It was green
Yep,
and
I
like
had that.
semi-translucent with the green
had that.
controller. It was so cool. So, like as a fan, I'm choking on my beer. As a fan, I'm like excited to see all this, but it's not without its issues. And
Yes.
there's some articles out there that are not boding well. I don't know.
Rumored
what feels-
articles, I would
What-
like to add.
Rumored, but
Rumored articles.
I mean, let's just talk about this chick for a second because, like, she's.
What are these weird snake things? Like what?
I have no idea. Like, because that looks.
I think it looks like there's people sitting at the bottom of those weird snake things or something. Can you?
No, they're getting pinned down for sure.
Are they getting pinned down, or does it look like they're sitting and that person's walking up to them?
No, that person right there on the table is clearly getting held down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no! Wait, hang on. We can see that. In the trailer.
I'm sorry, I was confused about the last.
Okay, well, here's the
the last
trailer. Those
scene.
were just stills. Here's the trailer.
So that looks like chairs right there. They're shooting at the snakes, and yeah, I don't.
Yeah, those things like that. I don't know what that was, but it looks like the flood, doesn't it?
Maybe
but
there is no
hunters-
flood in here,
aren't
and
hunters made up
she's
of-
like the flood.
Because like it's funny because people who like are writing a whole bunch of articles right now about this trailer, at least a lot that I read, just like it just sounds like they like have not played the games because they're just like, oh, this is like probably either a human who like leads some like weird cult that has joined the Covenant or whatever, or you know, I don't know what exactly they're going for. But she's supposed to be clearly a villain of some kind. I don't know why she's human, especially with this slide. It's like, but they keep like everything I've seen is like everyone saying that she's a part of like the Covenant. But this one specifically, this still specifically, I'm like, those tentacles, whatever the hell I'm looking at, that doesn't look like the Covenant that I've ever fucking seen. If anything,
No.
it looks like Flood.
Yeah.
But they don't make a mention of the flood at all in the trailer. And
One thing I gotta point out from the trailers, you have that ship that's, there's clearly a human ship, the UNSC ship heading towards a Covenant ship. And just, from my perspective,
Keep going, it's further.
is it the potential that she at one point was almost like an emissary that was
like an ambassador or something?
Yeah, that was somehow corrupted. Like she was sent there to try to, talk peace. And clearly it didn't work out. Somehow she became twisted.
See, I feel like if you're looking specifically at the lore of Halo, the
right there.
the prophets saw humans as vermin
Yes.
and tainted and unholy, whatever you want to call it, and their whole goal was to exterminate them from the universe. So I mean, the whole ambassador thing I already draw an issue with, just because the core of the Covenant backstory and everything, as soon as a human ship came into their space, they would have annihilated it immediately.
Yeah, but then you get the whole, you got to go down the whole road of, do they care about the backstory? Or are they just going to try to make this?
They're not going to
that's-
remain faithful to the source material.
No. And
I
think
thought we
that's-
were trying to be hopeful here. You told me to be hopeful here in the beginning
your
of
hope doesn't matter to me.
and
Me?
we're already tearing this thing. Yeah, you told me to let's stick with the positives and not the negatives. Well, we're already
All right.
going into the negatives here.
When did I
fellas.
say that? That's not at all. You definitely misunderstood me. That is not at all. I want to, dude. I literally.
He said start with the positive.
I said start with the positives.
I'd only say the positive.
I've been trying to transition into tearing this shit apart. Like 5
Okay,
minutes.
well, all right.
Let's
If we're
tear
gonna
this shit
tear this shit
apart.
apart, then let's fucking tear this shit apart. So I have a feeling that this is just going to be another one of those fucking Hollywood blunders, just like The Witcher's turning into, just like a bunch of the stuff that we fucking love is turning into. I mean, there's unconfirmed articles coming out left and right talking about what the series is going to be. Master Chief takes backseat to a female cast in Halo live action. Okay, if you're going to do that, like, I'm fine with a female character being like a strong Spartan in Halo, but don't call it fucking Halo and don't have Master Chief in it, because that's just not going to fucking happen in reality.
You're gonna make a Halo show. It's like making The Witcher without Carol.
Master Chief is going to be a supporting character to Yurin Ha, whoever the fuck that is. What? You can't call it Halo and have him be a supporting character. Master Chief is Halo. I just
Like it's so it's so predictable.
source close to the production revealed to us that Master Chief will serve as her supporting character, and that Quan Ah, I think that's how you pronounce her name, the kick 16-year-old warrior girl, will be the main protagonist in Steven Spielberg's Halo. Now, I know a lot of people have been excited because it's Steven Spielberg, but hey, let's not forget that Steven Spielberg has made some pretty shitty fucking movies too. On top of
Plus,
the good
at this
ones.
point, like, you think Steven Spielberg's gonna be on this fucking set? No.
No.
I mean, dude, you want to, like, let's just roll into the next fucking point, man. I think if anything is going to sort of outline this show and the news around it and what we know and what's rumored, etc., and just kind of analyzing everything we know, this is the one that stuck out to me the most. And I didn't even know this until today. I think, if I remember correctly, this article is only from like a day or two ago. The original showrunner for season 1 has already left. The guy who made this, the trailer just dropped. The guy who made this fucking season is already gone.
That's not a good sign.
Who's Paramount linked to?
Viacom.
What? Okay. I don't know why people in Hollywood feel the need to change this stuff to like woke culture.
Yeah, like if you're gonna use a
and
property,
meet the agenda of, I mean, it's what it is right now. It's the liberal agenda.
mm-hmm.
I'm not understanding why they need to do this to the stories like The Witcher, Master Chief. Like, why do you need to?
I think you're getting a couple things
aside.
confused. I think it's not necessarily to say it's a political group's decision to make all this happen. These companies don't care about politics. They care about making money. And if they think they can make money off it, they're going to do it the way they think they can make the most money off it.
They
But
care
they're
about.
going to aim at a demographic, though. This is
Yeah,
this
but
is
you want they're
clearly
going to
aiming
want to
at a
go. They're going to want to go
demographic.
broad. You're a subset of the greater target. because you are very ingrained in it. You know all about it. There's a lot of people out there that know nothing about it, and for them, it doesn't matter.
I agree.
See,
I agree with you
I
completely,
agree.
but I think there's more to it than that, because I think that they do. Dude, at the highest levels, these executives and these massive corporations are not going to invest in something that they think is going to lose them money. At least 98% of the time, they're not, right? So, of course, when they do something like this with Halo, like you're right, they're going to take this massive property, and make a series out of it. You're right that they're doing that because they think it can make money.
Correct.
I think here is where it all goes off the fucking rails, is because Hollywood is such a liberal, California dominated space, right? And all these writers are like straight out of university, right? And wildly radicalized, right? Because the difference here is like, look, if they wanted to have some sort of a message of morality or whatever, the difference is it's like you can have good themes. Like think about Lord of the Rings, Tolkien. You can have good themes, right? And there's like plenty of like liberal themes throughout the Tolkien verse, right? And it's not a matter of left and right. It just so happens that the left is what's dominating the media space right now and dominating the politics space right now. And they have, like they have, I mean, CNN's a fucking joke, but it's like they used to dominate the mainstream media, etc. So they're the ones who are essentially the housing structure of what is producing this type of content, and where it all falls off the rails in terms of like the creative storytelling aspect is they are writing shitty stories with shitty fucking characters, and they're taking things like Halo, and they can't just have like a good, natural, strong, organic female character who is sharing screen time with Master Chief, whatever. They have to fucking make Master Chief a bitch, and they have to humiliate him in the process, right? Like Yennefer has to like treat Geralt like fucking shit. Not that she doesn't do that in the books, but it's like it's awful and portrayed awkwardly in the way that they do it in the show, right? They need to ruin Luke Skywalker. The point that I think everyone can more or less agree on is it's just like, honestly, first of all, it's like get the modern politics out of it. Like if you have messages and fundamental things that you want to like bring into your stories, because that's what makes a good story at the end of the fucking day, right? Is that like you want to talk about making money, like make a story that like everyone can get on board with, that like everyone can relate to, struggles and failures that everyone has experienced in some way, shape, or form, right? Like I think back to when I was a kid looking at Luke Skywalker face down his father, right? And it's like, I mean, you're 6 years old, you don't understand what you're learning, but like now I'm 31, right? And like these movies still mean so much to me, these characters and those decisions that we see them make based on their entire experience that we've watched them go through, that you take a whole new meaning to it and you understand it on a more fundamental level. You know what I mean? So like I think that's where a lot of the like the rage bait, clickbait bullshit is so damaging to the conversation, because it just becomes about who's right and wrong. Not that that's happening here. I'm kind of just like talking about like what I've seen on fucking YouTube, right? And like what content creators make content about, right? And like what they argue, etc. What I've noticed is like it's a lot of dunking on each other as opposed to just like actually having a fucking conversation. And it's if there's one, like I'm on the side of like, look, man, I don't really care what your message is, etc., as long as it's like a good story that I can relate to, that has good lessons and good interesting characters that are well developed, right? And an interesting fucking plot that doesn't just take me on a fucking MacGuffin chase for fucking 3 hours like the Rise of Skywalker fucking did. You know? It's just like at the end of the day, all we want is good fucking stories. It's like we're doing incredible things with technology. I mean, look how good some of the shit looks these days. It's like, man, and then like George Lucas is like won't touch Star Wars for like 20 years, and then Disney goes, we'll buy Star Wars. That was like the fucking happiest day of my life, and like it did. Like I remember being so happy when I heard that news, right? And it's just like they have all these awesome properties, and they just fuck them up.
Well, it's because
and I think that's why
they're really what they're trying to do, though.
That's why I'm upset.
They're broadening the scope. They're trying to broaden the scope of the audience.
Yeah, and they flatten it in the process.
Exactly, which is why you got guys like Josh, for example, for Halo, who
right.
is
read the books.
He's read the books. He's been into the story. He's played the games. He's heavily invested, and he then looks at that product and says, "What the hell did you do?"
Yes.
But my cousin, who's never played the original games, has never read the books, is going to come along and look at this and go, "Oh man, that looks really cool." Because they're trying to target that audience that hasn't been exposed to all that extra content. Right. And I think that's what a lot of people forget when they say, you're ruining it, which from your perspective, yeah, they are ruining it. But there's a lot of people out there that have no experience with it.
Like, hey, this is just a new take.
Exactly. Yeah. And for them, for them specifically in regards to Halo, the Master Chief doesn't hold the weight that he does for those of us that, met him playing Combat Evolved,
right?
And reading the books.
But in the case of making a strong female character, Halo already has a strong female character that exists. Her name is Kelly. She went through the Spartan program with John from the beginning, and she's his number 2. And she survives Reach. And
Cortana and Keyes' daughter.
And Cortana. Like, there are strong female. My issue is there are strong female characters that already exist in this storyline. So why are we throwing them aside?
Because now you have someone new. You have someone new stepping into the light that is not only trying to take that product.
Yeah, but they don't have to throw the person aside.
No, and I completely agree with you. But think of it from their perspective. They're now taking something and trying to create something new that
Yeah, but why do you need to break what was already?
I'm also trying to take it down my road that I want to go down. I want to put.
Why can't we take it down a new road without why do you have to destroy what came previously? Though?
Look at anyone that any sort of artist, they want to put their own touch on it. And
which is my issue.
Exactly. And I didn't say you were wrong. I agree with you.
I get your point I understand. Like, there's nothing wrong with innovating. Like, I'm with you there. I think where I draw the line is like, why do you need to make Luke Skywalker drinking weird titty alien milk as a loner on a planet? Like, why was that necessary? What did that do for Rey?
Do you know, like, titty milk?
You know what I mean? Like, are we propping Rey up by completely shitting on the previous character that built this IP? Like, that's where I'm like, so my proposition is essentially this, like, basically the rant I just went on, the really bottom line I'm getting at is it's like, that's how you connect the two, is it's like, and what's ironic is like Disney has always typically done a very good job of writing stories for, they call it dual audience or dual targeting or multi-targeting or whatever, where essentially you hit multiple demographics, right? And it's like, you think about it from a marketing perspective in terms of like how you write a story that people can get into. It's pretty difficult to actually hit multiple different types of people who come from different walks of life, who are different ages or have different experiences or at different fucking genders. You know what I mean? Or like how do you write something that a 25-year-old male who plays lacrosse is all about, and also the 65-year-old female, whatever, someone completely different demographic? Like, how do you write a story that they both get? And essentially I'm saying like the key there is like these old fundamental stories that we have seen and have lasted for, in some cases, literally thousands of years. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like, I mean, not to get weird, like I shouldn't have said not to get weird, because I shouldn't feel weird about saying this, but like some of these fundamental stories I'm getting at are like biblical level stories. Like, for example, Luke facing his father, that's the Jonah story. That's like saving your father from the belly of the beast. Anakin, Luke's father, is like lost to the dark side, and Luke sacrifices himself, and it awakens who his father has always truly really been. His father is just this person who essentially made an awful, horrible decision and like gave into all of his wants and desires, etc. And it's awful, and a lot of people died, etc. But like, my point is, there's a fundamental story there that's happening. Obi-Wan and Anakin are Cain and Abel.
I mean, this goes
I
back
could go
even
on
farther
and
than
on.
that.
You know what
That
I
goes
mean?
even farther back than that, though. I mean, it goes back to the earliest written, cultures.
Fuck yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
And you go back all the way to Sumerians, and that was pre 3000 BCE, and you have Gilgamesh, which is all about you have a hero, something happens, he falls, he gets back up, he saves.
Right, like that's something that
that character arc has never gone away.
Right, exactly.
Like
exactly.
it's ingrained in us because it gives people hope. Which you look at that person, look at all the things they did and they suffered through, but it was okay. They persevered. Now you see that throughout, and I think that's one benefit I have with my background in studying history. I mean, world history from Sumerians to I ended with focusing on World War II and the Holocaust, and throughout those cultures, Greece, Sumerians, Egypt, those stories all keep coming back.
Yeah, like you see the common stories that make it from culture to culture throughout generations, right?
I gotta chime back in here. A perfect depiction of what I'm trying to express is that you can add in strong female leads and stuff like that and still hold true to the main idea of the source material. And my prime example of Hollywood doing this is with James Bond's No Time to Die. So if you guys have seen that movie or not, there's going to be some spoilers coming up for you here. In No Time to Die, people were freaking out because they thought that James Bond was going to be replaced with a black female. That is not actually the case. 007 became a black female, which is normal in that universe. So like the 00s aren't specific to a certain person. There's numerous 00s in this universe with MI6 and everything like that.
There's like
and when they die,
right?
Yeah, there's 001 through 9, and when they die, they just get filled in with their place. So Bond leaves MI6, so the 00 space was open. So they filled it in with a female character. They didn't replace James Bond, they just filled in the 00 slot. So like that is a prime example of Hollywood.
And she's not a Mary Sue.
Yeah, doing what they've been doing with
like that's the key for me.
Shows and stuff.
Like I don't fucking care. Like I don't care who these fictional characters. I don't care. Frankly, like it's so funny. I was talking to my buddy about this, and he was just like, I don't care who these fake characters are fucking or what's between their legs. I care if you write them well.
Yeah,
I was like
No Time to Die was a fantastic movie. It was written well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to. This is a really interesting conversation. With StreamYard, we're currently limited to 2 hours right now, so we may have to exit and start a new one. But let's just keep rolling through this because we got a couple more stuff I definitely want to get into. We haven't even gotten the chance to get into what you obviously are dying to talk about, Mr. Tommy B. Do you want to keep talking about Halo, or do you think we kind of covered that and want to move on? What do you guys think?
We got to wait and see what happens. We got to wait till the first episode comes out.
It's going to be hit or miss. You can't.
It's a lot of speculation right now. Nothing's confirmed with these articles we've been reviewing and stuff like that. So,
yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Like whatever.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's so funny. It's just
I'm
like I got no problem. I got no problem watching like a badass chick run around and like a Spartan run around fucking shit up. You know what I mean? Like I'm down with that. Like I don't care if she like if Chief gets himself into trouble and she saves him and they got a fucking woman power moment, like whatever. Like knock yourself out. I don't care. But like don't fucking kill Chief and make him a fucking pathetic loser in the process. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to break down a previous character to prop yours up. Just like you don't like they didn't need to do what they did to Luke in order to make Rey what they were trying to make her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just like what they needed to do was write the story better, not go from a different director from movie to movie, not let Rian Johnson completely break Star Wars. And they needed to take that whole concept of Rey training in the beginning of The Rise of Skywalker, which is fucking hilarious because it's just like, yeah, you're about 2 movies too late on that scene. You know?
20 seconds.
You need to write a good fucking story. What do you?
Yes.
20. You have 15
You,
seconds
uh,
left.
15
Yeah, we're
seconds.
good. You like my responses to our comments?
I did. Yes.
Let's see if this boots us out. We're gonna go right back live if this does. So hold on.
No, we're still alive. 3 seconds passed. 5 seconds passed. We're still alive.
I still got check marks.
Okay, let's keep rolling. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the next thing on the agenda, which is what Tommy B has been dying to talk about here.
You guys want to talk about that?
I think it's time. I think it's time to unleash the beast.
So, Lord of the Rings. We got some new promo images.
Yeah.
Tommy B's got to get geared up.
All right. Spencer, I don't know if you want to pull that up or you want me to pull it up.
I got it. I'm just trying to figure out.
Somebody pull something up.
So
we got a lot.
Personally, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about just as you guys aren't as familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear what you guys think about this first.
So I'm thinking about it. Just looking at the first thing I thought right when I first saw the first couple images. First of all, I didn't know there was going to be 20 of them. I just thought about this is how they're releasing. This is promotional material, right? Thinking about it from a marketing perspective. This is cool. I think it's cool that they just released a bunch of these images. These images are fucking gorgeous. The costumes look fantastic. The attention to detail. It looks like Lord of the Rings. I'll say that too. There's nothing that really jumped out at me that was like, this doesn't read Lord of the Rings at all. I'm insanely intrigued. The other thing that I picked up on right away is wow, there's a lot of them. Look at all these different characters. Of course, some of these, are probably secondary or maybe even just tertiary or completely nothing characters. But that is clearly
an important character.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So the costumes look fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm visually fucking stunning. And I don't even really have anything other to say than that, to be completely honest with you.
I'm not
really,
shocked
really excited
with how well they did on that.
Yeah, so
they're dumping money into this fucking show.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's clearly, I know there were a lot more kingdoms during this time period.
Correct.
In Lord of the Rings, so I'm super excited to see all of that. I honestly, if they jump around a ton to different cities and different people, kind of like how Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, I'm sorry, kind of like how Game of Thrones did it. They jumped around a lot between different characters and stuff like that. If Lord of the Rings and Amazon does it that way, I'd be perfectly fine with it. There's just so much going on here. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, it's the fact that they're doing this is kind of absurd. I mean, they've narrowed it down on the Second Age, which I know I've talked to both of you about this before. I mean, that's several thousand years.
Several thousand?
Yeah. I think the Second Age is roughly, what was it? It's over 3,000 years. So, I mean, there's a lot to potentially cover. Then I know we just talked about this, that the way they worked it with the Tolkien estate is they signed an agreement. Okay, we'll do this, but you can't touch anything or change anything that Tolkien directly stated or said or in any of his work, or that the Jackson films covered. So, I mean,
yeah, you want to just kind of explain that for anyone who doesn't know exactly what the terms.
Yeah, so when Amazon picked up the deal to do Lord of the Rings, they picked up the rights to Lord of the Rings. They had to sign an agreement with the Tolkien estate, which is his family, who still owns everything.
All property rights.
They own all the property rights to all of his work ever. And part of that agreement specifically stated that they're locked into the Second Age. You can't touch anything that Jackson did, so they obviously narrowed it to Second or First Age. But
I wish there was a Lucas estate.
You can't you can't do anything that will directly impact any of the works that have already been done. So, you can't, you can add minor characters here and there, but you're not going to see, anything that would impact Aragorn or any of the members of the Fellowship later on, or any of those guys.
Okay.
You're not going to see that. So that basically covers that. And like to what Josh was saying, this is gonna. I mean, the world's huge. Let me pull up. This is it in the third age, and if you look at that, I mean, it's big. I mean, if you pull up the paths that they take, like here's Frodo and Sam, for example.
Pause for 1 second, Jake.
Yeah.
Pause for 1 second. So we have Eredor on this map. Is that a kingdom? We have Arnor. We have
Rune. What are we looking at?
Okay.
What are we looking at?
Let me dive in here. One to touch. I mean, it's huge. Up here you have Arnor, which is the original Northern Kingdom of Gondor. It encompassed this whole section up here. Down below you have Gondor itself, which is all this. Okay.
So, like, I'm trying to get my bearings. Like, where's the Shire?
The Shire is up in Arnor. It's right here. So if you look,
okay,
see that, where that blue line starts, right. That's the path Frodo and Sam take when they leave.
Okay.
This is in the first age, or the third age. I'm sorry. A little bit different from the second age, but we'll get into that. You got all these other kingdoms down here, like Josh was saying. So you have Harad Waith down here, which is those are where the Haradrim and the Mumakils and all that are from. Obviously Mordor. Rune over here, Mirkwood, Iron Hill. So this is all dwarfs. I mean, it's huge. He built an absolutely massive world. And give me 1 sec. The idea, like Josh was saying, the scope of this project is basically unheard of. To cover roughly 3,000 plus years in a show, I can't think of another show that's ever touched that. Can you, off the top of your head?
No. I mean, what are we expecting to see in the show?
So they haven't really talked about too much.
Okay. I know it's based on the Silmarillion or whatever, right?
So even that's kind of not exactly. So if anyone's familiar, the Silmarillion, or is not familiar, Silmarillion is the original like great work of Tolkien that kind of built up all the background for everything he did. It covers the first age, which is from the dawn of time to the first fall of the to the second fall of its first Dark Lord, Morgoth. This takes place second age, first rise of Sauron, and the creation of the Rings of Power.
I thought this show was gonna like end with like Sauron's creation.
Nope, post Silmarillion.
Okay.
And so, I mean, this is a time period that, for the most part, he hasn't touched a whole lot. Totally. I mean, there's some information, like if you had the chance, read his Unfinished Tales, the works of Numenor. There is some writing there.
Okay.
But it's very piecemeal. The Unfinished Works, it's a bunch of it's stuff he never published that it was
this
together.
Is the stuff his son gathered.
Yeah, his son gathered it up from notes and basically published it as, hey, this isn't finished work. It's stuff my dad was working on that he never got to finish.
And what's it called?
The Unfinished Tales.
Oh, that's what they called it. They called it the Unfinished Tales.
Yep. It's because it's literally unfinished. So some of the stories get partway through and then just stop.
I see.
They have a lot of freedom. I just pulled up and I'll show you guys this. This will kind of give you a better idea of what you'll be seeing in the show. This is the map in the second age. Okay, so It's not entirely different from what you see in Peter Jackson's ideas and films.
There's so much more to the continent than I originally even.
Yeah, I mean, you can now see Umbar on the coast.
Like I like how it just
Southern
runs
coast.
off the map, which just like as a
it keeps going like this.
Like as a creative, that just gives you endless possibilities to work with. Like
And
you can
so-
choose how big you want the world to be.
I mean, yeah, they could touch. He basically doesn't talk about these southern countries, these southern nations, like at all.
Right, he just
These
like
game
leaves
shows.
it ambiguous.
Very ambiguous. Like he
Game of
mentions
Thrones, George R.
um,
R. Martin did something very similar.
I will tell. Well, we'll say this. I know I've talked to Spencer a little bit about this. Gandalf, you're not going to see him. So just get that out of your head.
Why?
He is not here in the Second Age. He
Why?
is still in the Undying Lands.
Oh, because he's not.
None of the wizards have come over.
Okay.
They only come over after the fall
including
of
Saruman.
Sauron. Yeah, none of the wizards.
Gotcha.
So the white, the gray, the two blues, and the brown. So Saruman, Gandalf, Radagast, and the two blues. They're not here. I'm really excited actually to see some of the new. They're not some of the new, some of the elven characters that are mentioned in the books that he doesn't really touch a lot about. They're talked about here and there, but you never really get to know them. So like this picture that you're showing right now, like, is that going to be in Numenor? I personally think that's going to be in Numenor.
Okay.
It's just a big tree in the background.
Yeah. So
that's where Aragorn came from.
Nah, he was never there
His
personally,
people,
but yeah, his people came from there. Yeah. So if you look at that, if you pull up that map again,
the Dunedain, right?
That little star-shaped island in the bottom corner is Numenor, which in this age is completely destroyed.
So Jake,
it's completely destroyed, or is it already completely destroyed?
It is destroyed during the Second Age,
right,
and that's what causes them to flee to what is eventually Gondor and Arnor.
Right. So what kicks off a lot of like the whole Lord of the Rings Tolkien verse essentially in the Third Age. Obviously, this is going to sound so dumb, but like obviously everything that happens in the Second Age is what sets up and kicks off everything that we see with the Ring of Power and Sauron, etc. So that's essentially what we're more. It's not like what we should expect to see. It's like that's what's on the table for them to make a show about.
The only glimpse, really the only glimpses of this age that we've already seen are in his films where you see the battle in Mordor, or on the edge of Mordor.
Okay.
Between elves, the last alliance of elves and men versus his forces.
So Tommy B is somebody that has a history of reading the
it just sounds so
I know, right? As somebody that's read the books and has read
Tommy B
and has read the the other history that Tolkien did. I'm drawing a blank on what that book is called.
Silmarillion.
The Silmarillion. Thank you.
I tried to read it. I read the whole thing, but man, it's dense, man.
Well,
it's tough.
How do you feel about them changing this kind of stuff? So Lord of the Rings TV show actor says it will be multicultural, diverse, and feature strong female characters.
I don't see any issues whatsoever. I mean, everyone's fine. Like I don't think anyone's going to complain about it. Tolkien himself. I mean,
do you think we're going to see a female dwarf?
I don't. That's something we've only seen in The Hobbit. And he talks about it. He talks about it here and there about dwarfs and how people like think they just sprout out of the ground is what they say in the book and in the movies. And the reason being is he even talks about it in some of the books is that they have facial hair. So we'll see. I think it'd be interesting. I don't think it's likely. In his world, dwarf women weren't warriors. They didn't go to battle or anything like that. That wasn't their thing. But you have to think this is also, if they stick to the way Tolkien intended things to be, he wrote this, midway through early, what was it,
late 1940s, early 1950s
Mm-hmm.
was when he wrote most of his works. You know, he started some of them earlier, but publishing wise, it wasn't until after that. So it's like that wasn't a thing for him, and why would he see it as for his characters? I mean, he wrote it based on medieval history. What you see is Gondor, Arnor, Rohan, that's medieval Europe. Then you have, you know, these other places like with the Haradrim, that's Africa. He
Right,
designed it to be Africa.
That's the loose geopolitical,
Correct.
you know, structure.
The Rune, for example, it's the Middle East, and it's, you know, in Asia.
So I want to go back to that post you just brought up, Josh. You don't have to pull it back
Please
up,
do.
but it's an interesting thing I kind of want to crack open for a little bit. And I know this is always like, especially these days, this is not an easy conversation to have, but like I think what I wanted to like highlight there is it's like there's a right and a wrong way to do the whole diversity, representation, etc. thing, especially when you're doing like fantasy IPs, etc. Right? Because it's like those kinds of things are already built in naturally, organically. The Witcher's the same way, right? It's like that's why it's weird that like when Triss Marigold was cast, right? And it's a black woman, and everyone freaked out, blah blah blah, right? And you got like the one side being like, you racist fucks, you know, like you just don't want a black woman. Like, what's wrong with, you know, race swapping the character?
A pale skinned redhead.
That's like here's the difference is it's like if the Witcher universe was a universe where like there was no black people, right? Like then I could see how there would be an argument to just be like, okay, maybe like people kind of just need to fucking get over it because this is a little fucked up. You know what I mean? Like if it was like explicit that like within the Witcher universe there's like no black people, right? And it was like basically just Europe, it would be like, okay, if we're gonna put the show on Netflix, maybe we can't fucking do that. You know what I mean? Maybe then you would have an argument, but here's where I take an issue with it.
Yeah.
Just like with Tolkien, etc., right? It's just like he's thought about this shit. He's building a universe, a fictional fantasy universe. And how do you, as a good writer, make something that is realistic? You have to make it somewhat make sense based on the actual reality that we have. So of course he's thought about like where people with darker skin would have originated and where they would have lived
in the
how
South.
Long, right? Like how long has humanity or whatever been around, you know, and dwarfs been around and etc. And have people moved around much? And like, you know, what happened with their cultures and their politics and wars, and did this get wiped out and that, you know what I mean? Like he's thought about all this shit. The difference is it's like it's fine when you do diversity and all that kind of stuff in these shows and whatever, especially with fantasy IPs. But it's like, but stick to the source material a little bit because it makes sense.
And
you're not going to break the suspension of disbelief instead of like making Isildur black.
And that's why I think,
but like that's the metaphor.
You know, we're in a good spot as far as the way the show is going to go, because he did think of all that, and his family made sure that they can't mess with it to that degree.
Wow. So you're putting a lot of your faith in the whole Tolkien. You're essentially not putting your faith in Amazon. You're putting your faith in the Tolkien.
I'm 100% confident in the way they set it up, is that you can't touch his work. And guess what? If we see this going south and we don't like it, you're done. You have to run things past us. There's a Tolkien expert assigned from the Tolkien family,
really,
to oversee things.
Like on set in the writing room.
He was there, or she. I'm not sure who it was, but I was reading an article. They have an expert, a Tolkien. I guess it'd be a Tolkien historian.
Yeah.
Is assigned.
I mean, dude, people can like major in Elvish. Like,
it's a
right.
Tolkien historian is not a stretch.
Yeah, no. So he's literally someone who has read all of his work, studied everything he ever did, and is literally an expert in everything.
So historian is a good term then.
Oh, well, I mean,
okay, well that makes me feel a lot better, because
the Silmarillion is literally a history book. And I think I've said this before. That it's a history book.
So I'm glad to hear you say this, and I'm glad we got here to this point, because like one thing that I think One thing I think gets lost when you're looking at this kind of stuff in entertainment these days, right? Is it's like go on YouTube. Everything is like it's very what's the phrase, the term I'm looking for? It's like a dichotomy. It's like a binary system, right? It's like there's one side of the argument and the other side of the argument. It's very binary to use a term, right? Very fucking binary out there. And I think one thing I personally, and I think you guys would agree, that I've always wanted to do with this channel is really kind of like not like look at both sides of the argument. That like the point here is to never get political. The point here is to like defend the passion that we have as nerds and the things that we like and the IPs that we like and the stories that we like, etc. And I think the common thread there is like, you just write a good fucking story. You know what I mean? So it's good to know that, like, you know, you're looking at it in the sense of like you're putting all of your faith in the Tolkien estate.
Yes,
you know,
100%. Not Amazon. Like, and this, I think this tweet that you pulled up is super.
Yeah,
I want to touch on this, and then I'd like to dive in a little bit about
about
what we know, what we do know about the show. Okay, the whole thing's bullshit. I'm gonna throw that there right now. There were black hobbits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's black hobbits.
Really?
Yeah. Tolkien, and the thing, Tolkien lacked the imagination to depict diverse creatures in his universe. Are you shitting me?
Like he created languages,
he wrote
different
3
races
different languages,
and stuff like that. Like
he wrote multiple languages.
That's what I'm saying.
He created subsects of every group. Like, I mean, even the dwarves are split into different groups. You know, I mean, the elves are split into several different subgroups. You have elves that stayed here in Middle Earth and never went to the Undying Lands, and you become wood elves, and they're not as powerful, and they have different aspects,
proclivities, right?
And, you know, and then to put the hobbits. I mean, there were different groups of hobbits.
I hate when it's just so focused on fucking skin color.
But my whole thing is like there were darker skinned hobbits. That was a thing. But they got separated from the Shire, and he talks about this in some of his unfinished works. Is, you know, some hobbits went off, crossed the mountains, entered what is now the Shire. Others stayed on the other side, and ended up going south. Like they split super early on.
To say that Tolkien lacked imagination.
Yeah,
he
like
literally wrote several thousands of years worth of history. First age, dawn of time. That's
where it's like, okay, like
fall. It's like 6,000 years.
That's where it's
then
like
another 3,000. Then another 3,000.
Like, this is where it's like, bro, your like agenda is getting in the way of your fucking brain.
I really would like to just sit down with this person and be like, no, you're not correct. The hobbits were very diverse.
Tolkien lacked the imagination. It's just something that you should never fucking utter.
Well, I feel like this is just one of those classic cases of this woman never read any of the books, read any of the source material or anything, just saw the movies and said, oh, Tolkien was a racist. He doesn't have black people in his world.
Which is bullshit, because you see them in the movies. But, granted, they're going to make the argument of, oh, but they're evil. It's like, okay, yeah, but not all of them are evil. It's just the ones you see in the movie happen to be evil. It's like you're talking about a history that covers so much time, and you're taking such a small shot.
Exactly. It's like, if you think about it in the sense of a timeline, it's like you're watching a show or a movie or something, and it's like it's only showing you one little element, right? They're only looking at that, and they're just like, well, I'm going to pick this apart and this apart and this apart, and this is wrong and this is wrong, and it's just like, and that's what I'm getting at. Is it's like, it's the difference between, I think this is what it comes down to. It's like there's a difference between trying to just like write a good story that has organic, or organic instances of, representation in whatever degree that you whatever floats your fucking boat, man, whatever. Because it's like, that doesn't necessarily matter at the end of the day, at least not to me. I mean, I can only ever speak for myself, but personally, I think that it's like, it doesn't really matter to me at the end of the day. What matters the most is if it's a good story, if it's a good character, right? If I
which is set up. Like someone already did most of the legwork for you. Don't
Right.
fuck it up.
Yeah, that's why it's just so weird that like, you know, they spend all this money buying these IPs. Like, I mean, someone Google how much Amazon paid for this.
Oh, it's an absurd amount. I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but it's like, you're not messing this up. You spent that much money on this, you have to make it work. And I think that's a good point. Like, if we look at the plot, the general idea is already known. They haven't released a lot of what they're actually going to do, but we know it takes place in the Second Age. We know it's going to be about the forging of the Rings of Power and the rise of Sauron.
Yeah, like that's my point. Where it's like, I hope that's what the show's about.
The war with him lasts like over 1,000 years, so it's like we got time. Like we got some time to cover. But I mean, a lot of the stuff has been talked about, and I think if you go to those, if you go to the pictures from the Instagram or the posters that they post on Instagram, I think you have a good selection of characters you're going to see throughout the show. I mean, if you look at, if you stop right there, I mean, that, and I've told both of you this, you see the white horse, the hilt of the sword's a white horse. More than likely, that's going to be Eol the Young, who's the founder of Rohan. So, I mean, you have characters that Tolkien put in place that we've never seen on camera.
Right.
They've talked about in the books, top left. I mean, taking one look at it, it's someone that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the style of the armor, right?
My first gut reaction is it's going to be the Witch King, because he was one of the ring bearers.
The Witch King of Agmar. Oh,
correct. That would be good to see him in action.
The guy who what's the character's name? Not Eowyn.
Eowyn kills him on Pelennor Fields, stabs him in the face.
It is Eowyn. Oh, I was thinking Arwen. Eowyn, yeah. Right, the Witch King that Eowyn kills.
No man can kill me, and she pulls off her helmet, and I am no man. Boom, stabs him in
like
the face.
There's some good fucking like, female representation.
Yeah, and I mean that wasn't Jackson. That's straight from Tolkien. That's how it goes down in the book. Mary stabs him in the leg, and then she stabs him in the face. After
I have a younger sister, like I want her to look up to Eowyn. You know what I mean? Like,
she's a great character.
What do you fear? A cage? Like, fuck yeah! Like, the fact that she's a female, frankly, has nothing to do with why the character's great, and that's my fucking point. I don't care what she's got between her legs.
It's great characters, but like, as far as the plot for this show goes, I mean, they've been pretty vague. But if you pay attention to Tolkien and you've read the books, you have a general idea.
So talking about the photos, let's talk about the photos a little bit specifically. Is there let's go through which ones stand out to you the most?
I'm thinking so you see a couple wearing rings, correct?
Okay.
So first off,
that's the first thing you're just like, okay,
you got to touch. You have to touch. You can't not. First off, you got the Witch King. I think it's the Witch King.
Okay, let's go top to bottom. Sorry.
No, you're fine. More than likely the Witch King. I mean, the way the sword's designed, it's just very reminiscent.
Here's a ring.
So there's nine rings to men.
Is that
they're not all kings.
You recognize that sigil?
That's the thing. He was never very clear on sigils. There's some that he talked about, obviously Gondor.
George Martin loved his sigils.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
But what I'm thinking is you're going to see that one with the sword, probably one of the 9. This could be. I mean, it's
this one you're saying?
Yeah, that I feel that. Yeah,
one of the 9 kings of men. Yeah. One of the future Nazgul.
But see, then that's the thing. People think, they're all kings. No, they weren't all kings. They're just people of power,
regional lords.
So you had, and a lot of them, a couple of them were from the south. They're not all from Numenor or from Rohan.
Yeah, there's not enough kingdoms in that area, right?
But they're not just kings. It's he gave it to people he thought were powerful.
and people that wanted power. I mean, this could be, some of these are just, so vague.
Well, talk about the ones that stood out to you the most.
Aol for sure. Obviously that's gonna be someone from the South,
Mhm.
Which I'm super interested in because there hasn't been a lot of talk about it.
About the South, like the southern
The
region,
southern regions,
south of Middle Earth.
south of Gondor.
It is Middle Earth.
Yeah, this one I thought was super interesting.
Yeah, you were saying something about the writing.
Yeah, so if you look at the writing,
You were I don't recognize that at all. It doesn't look like any kind of.
It's not.
It's like Mordor is
Dwarvish.
essentially a form of Elvish, right?
Yep,
You know what I mean? So
but it's
looks
not
the
that
same,
script.
The long float, right?
Yeah, this is more pictographic.
And it doesn't look Dwarvish.
So for me, my first thought, just because of the character, obviously you can tell it's someone with darker skin. It's going to be down from the South in one of the Haradrims. Or, you have, and you see it in the movies, the Men of the Mountain.
The Men of the Mountain.
Who used pictograms. So it's going to be a group that didn't come from Numenor, didn't come from the West. In Tolkien's world, if you were men that were already in or stayed in Middle Earth, who didn't go west to Numenor, you're lesser men, essentially. They're not as powerful. They don't live as long. So that one really interested me, actually. I'm really excited to see who that character is, because the fact that they can write as well is kind of unique.
Okay.
Or read.
Oh,
because they're dressed rather like a commoner. So he used medieval, history as kind of a guideline. And during that time period, not a lot of people could read. Even in the movies, they talk about Gondor. It's like very few people are allowed in the archives. And very
maybe
few
this is
people,
like a delivery, a messenger.
It could be exactly. It could be a messenger. Now, who's he delivering the message to?
Right, like they're clearly putting this front and center. That writing.
That is far more important than I think a lot of people are seeing. If you look behind him, I mean, he's even has a ring hanging around his neck.
Just as a person who knows basic Photoshop, I can just clearly tell that. Like,
look behind it though, and this is something I didn't notice before. There's a ring hanging around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask if that's a ring or something holding his.
Now, here's the thing: the minor rings that the elves first made are very plain, very similar to the One Ring, which is just plain gold. The high rings, the rings of power, were ornate with jewels.
How many rings of power were there?
9 to men, 7 to dwarfs, 3 to the elves, and then the 1.
So 20 total.
The 9 to men are made, and the ones to the dwarfs are made directly with the assistance of Sauron, which is why
the dwarf lords.
Yeah, why they have a negative effect basically on people. The 3 elf rings were made independently of Sauron. They were made in secret.
Okay.
Which is why if you look at them, like 1, they don't make you go invisible, which is huge. All the rings of power that he had a hand on make you invisible, which is why you eventually turn to a wraith as you get corrupted.
Yep.
The next picture that I'd like to look at again that I have already talked about is the one of who I think that's Aol, the young with the white horse. Clearly, you're supposed to be immediately picking up on the white horse.
Yeah, like that's the front and center.
Yeah.
His armor is like a scaled armor. That's cool.
Which is it kind of reminds me of
like light armor.
Aomir's, which makes sense because they're cavalry. And especially at that time, they didn't have.
They can't be wearing like heavy plate armor on top of a horse.
Well, they didn't have the strict knowledge of it yet. They came out of the north when Gondor was at war, and just
that's fair. I do keep forgetting that this is several thousand years before the Lord of the Rings.
Way before.
So go to the next one, Spencer.
This one I think is real interesting.
That hilt.
Yes.
That's amazing craftsmanship right there.
Yeah, it's fucking gorgeous, man.
But
there's one thing we can definitely say is that this show is definitely going to be fucking gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's gonna be sick. But I think this one.
I mean, almost that alone, I'm like excited for.
there's not a lot, to pick off the top.
Some-
But if you look at it,
Looks like
they're
a
wearing
rune.
leather, or furs.
Yeah.
Right? It's clearly skins.
You know who it reminds me of is Radagast in a way.
A little bit.
At least the clothing.
A little bit.
My
The
instinct is
Northerner?
telling me it's one of the lesser peoples that were already there. It's not a Numenorian.
Already at Middle Earth?
Yeah, it's not one of the Numenorians, in my opinion. It doesn't
Is it a
seem
man?
like it would be. I mean, it's not a lot to go off of.
Could it be a dwarf?
It could be, but I mean, can you zoom out a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Not much to go.
I mean, if you look at the
Looks
if
like
you look
the
at
edge
the
of the
bottom,
shoulder.
if you look at the bottom of the hilt, see how it's like almost spiked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
it
could-
looks
it-
spiked. Yeah.
It could be another one of the people that eventually become a ring wraith. He wasn't very clear on who those people were. There's only 2 of them have really ever named. He talks about, there was 3 from the south. Some were of the black Numenorians, which when I say the black Numenorians, their skin tone's not black. The black Numenorians are Numenorians that fell into darkness and worshiped Sauron before the fall of Numenor.
Okay.
So it could be one of them that was exiled. There's so much speculation.
You know what I kind of get for a vibe from? Yeah, I saw that comment, Nazgul.
Which is why I said it might be one that becomes a wraith. This one is
Go
the next.
back.
This one's
Spencer.
interesting.
Go back,
Yes.
Spencer. Go back one real quick. So from his hilt, I also kind of get an Isengard vibe.
Which is possible. I mean, that was built by the Numenorians. They built the Tower of Orthanc.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Like the architecture of the Tower of Isengard and like Mordor is very
Is-
similar.
mhm.
Yep.
It's the
Well,
same
that's the thing.
architecture.
The Numenorians built that during their height. They also built.
They built Mordor?
They didn't build Mordor. I mean, it's a place, but they didn't build the Blackgate. That's him. But there's two other forts, castles in that gap that they built. They built that. They built a couple of forts inside Mordor that they kept garrisoned after the fall. So,
Okay.
like Frodo and Sam
Hmm.
are going through the pass of Carol Ungol, and he gets attacked by Shelob and gets taken to the tower. That was built by the Numenorians after the
What do you
fall.
think of this one?
This is
This
going
one
to be an
I
elf,
think right?
right?
Interesting. Not necessarily. I mean, it could be. You look at it; it's covered in leaves, almost looks like a tree bark.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like he's wearing wooden armor.
And he
He
has
does-
a ring of
does have
power on his thumb.
He does
He's
have
got a
what
ring.
looks to be an elvish.
Well, yeah,
Style
a
arrow.
ring.
You see the head
I
of the arrow,
assume
the
it's a
broad
ring
head?
of power.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't not necessarily because the rings of power that were given to the men were jeweled.
Apparently this is like a thing. Apparently, like in the normal time frame that trailers usually come out based on
Mhm.
how long a series has been in production. Apparently,
We're
Amazon's
at- we're in the
late.
window.
Yeah, Amazon's late on a trailer. So like that's what people are saying. Like, yo, where's the fucking trailer?
So one thing I thought, Josh, similar to you, it
Is that an
could've
Elder
been-
Scroll?
Yeah.
Right.
Go back to that last one real quick, Spence.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm gonna
the
grab
other
another
option,
beer.
if it's not an elf, it could be one of the wild men who just sort of lived in the mountains.
Okay,
and
yep,
the
the
trees.
wild
They
men.
like even later on into the Third Age with the battle for Minas Tirith and Pelennor Fields.
Yep.
In the books, Rohan is the Rohirrim are guided in by the wild men who were just like they just live in the woods and never talk to anybody and never interact with anyone else. So I mean, it's possible it's one of them. Which we'll see. Is this you or Spence?
We lost Spence to
Yeah, to
change
beers.
our freaking slides here. So
That's all right. I can go.
the next guy had a scroll and a red robe.
So my first instinct is it's going to be either an elf or someone in either the northern or southern kingdom of Arnor and Gondor.
Yeah, he's got dark skin. The actor or the model, I should say.
Switch
this
to
guy?
the next
Well, this
next slide.
one
Oh,
thing I
I'm
thought
sorry. Who
about
are you
that.
talking about?
Well, real quick before you switch, Spence, just because you brought that up,
Mhm.
I told Josh it could be one of the wild men who already inhabited the area where Gondor is in the Third Age.
Oh, cool.
But who knows? I mean,
okay.
they just kind of briefly touch on them.
Yeah.
The
So
guy
this is
that's-
someone of royalty or something. You see the
Yeah.
the gold in their clothing and the robes and the flowy. And the leather
I'm
and the
thinking
velvet.
that I was telling Josh that's either going to be an elf or if you look, can you zoom in on the writing?
Kind of looks like elvish to me.
Yeah, I'm thinking just based on all the gold though, it's more unlikely.
It's some form of elvish.
Someone, I can't read it. It's going to be someone from Numenor. Like a high-ranking official or something.
Cool. Elrond?
No, it's not Elrond. just no. Shut up.
Let's say
It's not.
Oh.
Which interesting. The reason he's the lore master is Elrond. His ring actually gives him the ability to like retain knowledge more efficiently, more effectively. That's one of the gifts of his ring.
Get that comment down. He's got this sickle.
Comrade Stalin.
What is this? Like a farmer uprising? What is that?
The Numenorians were, prior to showing up, they're big farmers and fishermen.
Other than your boy,
that's one I'm most pumped about. I think that's gonna be dope as shit.
I think this is one of the other ones that's probably
it's clearly an elf.
Most notable.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It is an elf.
I think this is Isildur's sister. Isildur her.
Well, no.
You're muted, by the way, Josh.
It's an elf.
You're muted, Josh.
Based on the sword.
You're muted, Josh.
I am. Ah. Whoops.
Follow classic.
I was about to say we haven't gotten to the one I'm excited for yet.
Okay.
Yeah. In my opinion, based on the sword, I think it's an elf. I don't think it's, and based on the design of the armor, I don't think it's a man or anyone from Gondor.
Numenorian.
Yeah, no.
Was Isildur Numenorian? Is that a dumb question?
Yes, he is Numenorian. He's the one that saved the White Tree during the destruction.
Oh,
that was the last one. He stole the seeds.
Holy shit!
This picture actually gets me very excited.
You recognize that? Is that a building?
Yeah. So
what is that?
If you scroll out, that's a keep in the tower. I want to say,
could that be that?
What's that?
Could that be the city we saw on that tweet in the picture in the background?
That's one thing I thought about. It could be a Numenorian, but typically their swords wouldn't be gold hilted, which makes me think it's more of an elf. So it could be. And my one thought was Gil-galad.
Okay.
Who's one of the highest ranking elves. He's basically the last king of the elves. I don't want to say king. He wasn't a king. He's
this guy's just got rings for days.
Yeah. This guy's got some cash.
Yeah.
He's got some jewels on him.
It's a lot of gold. It's, if I had to say, if you're going with based on a lot of stuff Tolkien said, he's not a Numenorian. Numenorians weren't as big into gold. You've been busy tonight, bro. But if you look at that ring on his front hand with the big gem on it, that to me says ring of power.
Okay.
On his index finger.
Yeah, because you said the humans had very jewelish rings.
So did the ones given to the dwarfs and to the men were jeweled. The great rings are all jeweled.
Hit the next one, Spence.
Except for the one ring. Okay, that's clearly someone from the south, or it could be from Rune. Because Rune's more desert. Rune's more desert. It's more desert-like. So
yeah,
if you look at his hand,
It looks like
Yeah.
he's got some sort of sand or dust on it, and then his
Oh, that's
his
gold.
clothes are very.
It's gold.
Is that gold on his hands?
It's
That
definitely
looks like gold. Yeah, that
Okay,
looks like
there
gold.
you go.
And then he's got the I see this like triangle. He's got a bunch of jewelry, a lot of gold.
Yeah.
I see gold.
There's just tons of
And the
gold.
triangles, the triangles
I'm
mean anything
gonna-
to you?
What does
Not
that comment
particularly.
say? Gandalf from
There's
the
a fucking-
Legend
Gan-
of Zelda.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a fucking
Ganondorf.
Triforce right here.
It's
You
Ganondorf.
see that?
Or Ganondorf. I'm sorry.
Ganondorf.
I mean, I'm down. I love Zelda.
Ganondorf.
Dude, let's see.
I mean,
Zelda.
Here's
that
the
is
one I'm
that's a
excited
When's the
for.
Zelda adaptation coming?
That's a dwarf.
There's my
You
dwarf.
got big old hammer.
Almost called you by your name again, and I
Don't
caught
do that.
myself again. Again. What is Galadriel's Ring of Power name?
Ninya.
Ho! You
Ninya.
don't know.
It's Ninya.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go. And it's made of mithril
So that's her.
with white.
Is it really?
Whites with made of mithril with sparkling gems from a star.
Yeah, it's Nenya.
Mm-hmm.
Nenya
None
business.
your business.
Yeah.
Nenya business.
Actually,
None your
I'm
business.
trying. I want to say one goes to her, one goes to Elrond, one goes to Gil-galad, but he's killed in the last battle against Sauron. His ring then is passed on to Gandalf.
Does someone do anything for you?
It's one of the dwarfs. The color of his beard stands out.
Yeah, it's very clearly
He's not Durin's folk.
gold again on the hands.
So
Yep,
then the
yep,
other one might have been a
gold on the
dwarf as
hands.
well.
Does that mean anything to you?
Dwarfs. They're
Oh,
like
they're
gold.
mining gold.
So if you go back, that other picture might
Like
have been
gold dust.
Yeah, the other one could have been a dwarf, but he didn't have a beard.
Yeah, go
Okay.
back one.
Let's go
one
back.
picture.
So
This
these
one.
two were
Actually,
these
that
two
could be
And is that his beard hanging
that
down?
could be a dwarf then.
Is that a beard?
I think it looks like his robes.
Yeah, it looks
We're
like
gonna find
robes.
with that much gold. I mean, it makes more sense for a dwarf, but I've never seen with the bracelets and stuff. I mean, it's it's so much speculation.
I mean, I know dwarves like
That's
jewels,
a
though.
dwarf
They
without
talk
a
about
doubt.
that in The Hobbit.
Jewels, gold, silver, mithril.
7 for the duels. Dude, I freaking love combat.
He's not.
7 for the dwarf lords in the halls of stone.
He's not Durin's folk. Typically, they have dark hair.
Oh, it's great, and that's it. That's the last one.
That last one's so obviously a dwarf, though.
Yeah.
So,
man,
what
there's
ring
gonna
is
be a
that?
couple.
Does that ring mean
He
anything?
never
to you?
he never names the ones given to men.
Oh,
The only
okay.
ones that are named are the ones to the elves.
And who had him? Galadriel.
By the end, or at the start of the Second Age.
Who did he give him to? Galadriel.
Sauron didn't make them. The elves built them themselves. So he taught them how to make rings of power or magical rings, and they had kind of tinkered around with it, and they made a lot of lesser rings, which is why when Bilbo finds it, Gandalf's like, whatever, it's just some.
Oh, I
ring.
thought Sauron crafted all the fucking
No,
rings.
he helped. He had a hand in creating the ones given to men and to dwarves, which is why he had some pull over them.
Of course, the
one-
elves didn't need any of that shit.
No, the ones the elves made, the 3 for the elves, they made in secret. Cerebror? Oh no, how do you pronounce it?
Cerebral.
He made the all of them, but he realized kind of what was going on, and made the last 3 in secret, and they hid him.
I'm gonna derail the shit out of you. Real
That's fine.
quick.
I was about to. Is that a fucking van in the background?
The fucking Chevy, bro.
I hope so.
That's a fucking Chevy.
I just love. I'm zooming in on the wrong screen. Oh, I can't zoom in on that. I just love that. You just see a Chevy and Master Chief fighting an elite with a power sword in the same frame. It just makes me so happy. I mean, and not to mention, if you kind of like didn't need to know anything else about The Halo show. I mean, like, whatever. We'll see. Man. I'll tell you what though, this haircut is like not working.
Right? She's got that weird
Like a bowl
haircut.
cut.
The
It's
whole
a mullet.
time-
She's legit got a mullet.
The whole time she's on screen, I'm just gonna be fucking staring at her hair.
Chappie. The girl in Chappie had the same haircut. The movie
mullet?
Chappie, which is the robot. Yeah.
Oh, boys.
Do we think this is the Arbiter?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
So dope. They showed him in one of the scenes in the trailer.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, but like that didn't even read Arbiter to me.
He had
specifically.
the armor on.
Was it?
Yeah.
Walking with a plasma pistol. Rips a machine gun off.
Dude,
Classic.
I hope they make
Blow
little
something up.
goofy. I was talking to my buddy about this. I hope they make goofy little video game references. Like he gets a kill with like a plasma pistol and then pulls out a BR or something. You know what I mean? Or I wanna
Hits him with the charge, then switches.
Yeah, right. The noob combo from Halo 2. Or he does something like he does like a BXR.
Right there.
That's
boom.
the shot you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right after this, was it?
Yep. And right there. That's him. That's the helmet.
Oh, the helmet.
Yep.
That is the Arbiter's helmet.
I guess it's the hexagon looking pattern throughout the armor that's throwing me off because that looks very like futuristic, whereas Arbiter's armor looked like old. Ancient future. You know what I mean?
If that makes sense.
Yeah, so maybe
Ancient
it's just an aesthetic
future.
thing.
I
was
like that
throwing
one.
me.
That helmet is for sure Arbiter though. It just screams.
Yeah,
Arbiter.
it is
And
definitely.
if you go back,
I think the thing
Was
that
that the
excites me
blonde?
most about this trailer.
pause. Oh crap.
Hang on, I think
Dick.
that's what excites me most about the trailer.
Warthog without a gun.
Warthogs.
Warthog! I just want to see Warthog on screen. What were you saying?
Go back a little bit to before he comes through the wall when you see that girl's face.
Oh, you know what I just realized with this shot right here? Sorry, Jake.
You're fine.
Sorry, Tom.
You son of a bitch.
Did I do it? Did it come through?
A little bit.
A little bit. I
Love
did
that
it once
one.
too already. So
Oh, did you?
You're gonna have to watch all
Yeah.
3 hours of this and edit that shit.
Yeah,
out.
right. Okay. Well,
have fun with that.
yay.
I'm not doing it.
Hang on. Write down 252.
No, I'm not that concerned.
Okay. All right. Look, they do like a FPS
He got
shot
shot.
here.
Yep. You can
Dude,
see the
There's
shield.
your
shield.
first person.
So they
Yeah.
better use that sparingly, though.
Wait, hold on. Zoom in on
Well,
that. Zoom
so-
on that.
I
Zoom
think
on the
it
helmet
really
because that
were.
helmet looks exactly
Those are the same
like that one.
helmets. Yeah, those are the same helmets as the one before.
So it might
So
not be
that-
then.
It can't be the Arbiter. Those just have to
Catch
be
me,
elite.
catch. Well, he doesn't have the.
What were you? What did you want me to stop at?
Right there, back up just a hair. His helmet did look different. That helmet does look different than the others. That peak comes down farther.
It's
But
hard
if
to
you-
tell in
if
the
you
battle,
back up
but
a
the
little bit
peak
more,
looks-
and they're
the-
moving quick,
the
'cause
peak
theirs
in
is
this
more like
one looks like
rounded.
it comes down pretty far.
That
Okay,
woman
hang on.
that on the other side of the door, though.
40 seconds, and then the other shot is like 40.
Yeah, those peaks come down pretty far. Yeah, those come down far. I don't think that's the Arbiter. I think that's just
That
an
one
elite.
definitely isn't. Because he's about to get killed.
No, I mean the other one in the other
Yeah.
screen. I don't think
He's
that's
definitely in it. Because, I mean,
Yeah, he has to be, but well, maybe
now
not.
if you go
We
right
don't
as the
know.
door, right there. Damn it! Come on, Spencer, get better at clicking.
What do you want me to do?
This woman. Now, is that just some random person, or is that the same girl that we were talking about earlier? That we're like, who the hell is this chick?
That is not the chick. The bowl cut chick is the one.
No, not bowl cut chick. The chick that we were like, oh, it could be an emissary or someone that formed a cult or some shit.
No, different.
Wait, this blonde chick at the end? Her?
Yeah, look at the nose. That's
going
the
off
Arbiter
the-
for sure. And that's
Are you
Someone
smoking
with a
crack?
nose?
I might.
Yeah, dude, you are high
Serious-
out of your mind.
Serious question. How much
Exactly.
crack did you smoke?
It's all
Stay
the
with the
bird.
Lord of the Rings because you're swinging
It's
for
all
the
the bird.
fences over here.
I'm just asking questions. I'm asking you.
Yeah,
dick.
you're always
You're supposed to be
trash
the
at Halo.
expert.
You're always trash at Halo.
Please, whoop you.
Oh man,
Well,
he was never that good at Halo.
Josh, are you serious?
overall,
You're trash.
I was fantastic at Halo. Don't
You
ever
really
forget
were.
that.
you know,
All you did was drive the warthog while other people got the kills.
You got to have a good wheelman to get your 98 fucking kill streaks.
there's nothing wrong with being a support. I play support in League.
That's not my thing. I'm gonna go win the game while you do that.
He never won the game.
The difference is, like, I'm the reason why you're winning the game.
No.
You're staring at your KD. You're not realizing that I'm serving
You're
these
welcome.
kills up to you on a platter and outplaying these fools.
No.
All you have to do is land your shot.
Yeah, someone's gonna land it. You be up there.
Anyone play support?
You be up there missing.
Anyone play support out there? This was fun, guys. I think we should wrap it
It
up. We're
was.
about to hit 3 hours.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up.
I gotta pee. Josh is yawning.
Yep, I'm
This is
tired.
Gotta
way
take my
past his
dog out.
bedtime.
Well, that was awesome.
I'm in bed at 9 o'clock.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's not even a joke.
I have to go edit videos for the next. That's not that too bad. Only like 7 more hours.
On that note,
Right, James.
I'm gonna leave.
Josh, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to teach you some stuff, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited to edit
You guys
more
have
than
fun
I
with that.
just do of cutting things out of videos.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. I'm not. I don't need you doing any like crazy shit. Basically, like if you can just cut shit and smash clips together, that alone is extremely. That'll get you far. That'll get you far in video editing. Honestly, you can do. It's like 80% of it. You know what I mean? People get all caught up in the effects and all the crazy shit, and honestly, it's really
Nope,
not that
I ain't
bad.
doing that. If you want that done, talk to somebody else.
Yeah. I'm gonna be doing the most of that kind of stuff. I'm actually I'm working on one of our review videos right now, and I was like, I can make this very simple and just kind of go through clips of the show and do a voiceover, etc. And that's what I'm building now. But then like I made the mistake of like making a joke where like I added like an effect in where like I brought in like a picture, showed a clip of like an old movie or something like that to like make a joke or whatever. And now I'm like seeing all these opportunities to do that throughout the edit. And I'm just tacking on time of that I'm gonna have to fucking put into this. You know what I mean? So it's like fuck. So it's this weird balance. I mean, it's been, man, we're just a work in progress. The new Boba Fett episode came out on Wednesday, and here it is Friday, and I don't even have last week's episode's video done yet.
Stop playing League of Legends and get to work.
I haven't been playing League of Legends, dude. I haven't been. Not as much. No, I'm just kidding. I really like stopped playing pretty much altogether. But I want to do. I want
yesterday.
No, I didn't. I didn't
This
play
was
it all
the other day
yesterday.
when we were all on. Was that the day before?
Like 2 or 3 days ago, and I played like one game. But I want to do like I'm trying to like climb out of bronze, and I'm thinking of doing like a Twitch stream, like that being like the Twitch stream is like, come watch me climb out of bronze. I'll build a little League of Legends, little
I don't even
bronze
know what
League
you're
of
talking about right now.
Man, it's all right. It's not really important anyway. It's really not important, nor is it interesting.
No, I don't know about it.
But
Yeah.
you're thinking about making a Twitch stream about it. All right. So on that note,
Take us out.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to say you dick instead. Oh, whoops.
When you
Thanks
guys
for
want to
watching.
take a whack at an outro. Go for it.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Tommy B. Hit us with an
No,
outro.
Josh. I really want to see you take this from the top.
Got a minute.
I wing it every day. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. More videos coming your way from Nerdgenics. We'll be here next Friday for another live. We'll probably do live again, right?
Critical Nerd Theory. Yeah, we're
Critical
gonna,
Nerd Theory
yeah,
live.
every Friday night, baby.
Yep.
Every Friday night, baby. Yeah, if you like the stuff that you saw tonight, we're gonna be doing a whole bunch of stuff like this. So make sure you follow us everywhere, like and subscribe, and share this video with your friends if you think it was cool. We got a lot of stuff coming. We got Book of Boba Fett and a whole bunch of stuff. So tune in again. You can find us everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, etc. It's Nerdgenics across the board. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for coming, guys. This is a lot of fun. Tommy B, you're welcome anytime, of course, especially when Lord of the Rings comes out, man. I'm hoping to have you on as much as you're willing to.
I'm gonna have to reread that Silmarillion. Just waste another 19 hours of my life.
Lord.
19 hours.
No, it's gonna take me like 3 months. Let's be serious.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. Love to have you on again in any capacity. Doesn't just have to be, doesn't just have to be this. Anything you want, just let me know.
No.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks again, guys. See ya.
Till next time.